What's up? What's up? AJ 206, what's good? Flat power, bro. Scott Hill, flat power, bro. Fully Nelson, let's go. We know what time it is. Shout out to Christian Make Move and shout out to Unique Unity. What's up, y'all? 13 or more melanin. Peace, my brother. Spake Face, what's good? I don't give a fuck streams, what's good, bro? Ryan Toombs, what's up? Flat Plane, Mr. P, Flat Power, what's up? Timothy Perry, KT420, Davina Plus 6, Daniel Humes, what's up, my peoples? Kayla Pereira, peace and love. Backpack Zoe in the motherfucking house, what's up, bro? Inquisitive in the house, Karen B, what's good? Obed Donato, man, y'all coming in here deep right now. Just Be Real, Matthias Paschini, Chef Knowledge, what's good? We about to get into an awesome show, man. I'm chilling with my brother Subtle Infinity. For many of y'all that don't know Subtle Infinity, we've been collabing and chopping it up on these YouTube streets for shit over a year now. Well over a year, at least about I would say a good 2 strong years now. And yeah, he just another brother that I support to the fullest. He doing his thing. If you don't know about Subtle Infinity or if you heard of him or whatever, the brother gonna be here today. So hey, don't worry. But you can always go in the video description to find a link to his channel. So make sure you keep that in mind. You want to go in the video description area, hit that link and subscribe to him. So with all that being said, y'all, the topic today is pretty much just open. Me and my brother, we do these streams, we collab, we catch up on recent events, and boy, we know it's been a lot of recent events, man. So I'm just building with my brother about it, and I ain't gonna talk too long with the intro. I'm gonna let him go ahead and introduce himself. Many of you already know him. Shout out to you, my brother Sutter.
Thank you for having me, bro. Greetings, aloha to everybody. Yeah, it's good to catch up. It's good to be here and
Oh yeah.
go over some things.
Hey Sutter, cut your mic up just a tad. Now this Hangouts I'm on now won't let me get a control room. Normally I could boost you a little bit, but I'm on a different Hangouts. You
All right.
got a volume mixer or something? Cut yours up just a little bit. And to everybody out there, at any point during the show where the audio is where you can't hear, just let us know in the chat and we'll adjust it. But we gonna get right into it, man. Some of the topics me and my brother was building about was just the end goal is one thing we like to talk about, and just I had a lot of different characters come onto this channel recently, and it brought a lot of different perspectives from those bills and let us get a chance to look into these people for who they are. And one thing I want to be talking about with my brother is the cult-like behavior that's in these communities. Also, the man, what I like to call just men under the wing. You got the kind of philosophy now of more of a follower mentality than a lead. Whereas, like we was talking about earlier, you got Christians that are constantly refer you to the Bible. In any conversation, they like, hey man, what the Bible said, the Bible said. You got that same mentality all over these conscious communities. Hey, my teacher said this, my teacher said that. So I mean, it's just so much to catch up on, talk about, and a lot of recent events gonna bring to light a lot of shit that some of us knew and some of us gonna be, getting revelations on today. But we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff, man. No particular one topic. Shout out to y'all. And Subtle, man, at any given time, you want to snatch the mic from me like Eddie Kendricks. Just snatch that jump, man. You good to go, my brother.
All right. Yeah, so I guess just for people who haven't listened to any of how's the volume on this, by the way, before I go any further? I don't want to I'm trying to get closer to it.
Okay. Everybody out there, put a 1 in the chat room if you can hear Subtle pretty good. If not, he can adjust a little bit more. Give us a 1 if you can hear him pretty good. If not, give us a 2. We want to get that mic check before we get into it.
All right, I'll just go ahead and put it up a little bit anyway. Yeah, I'll just
Okay, yeah, they
well,
can hear you. Go ahead, brother.
yeah, for people who don't know or any of the work, the information that I go into on my channel, it's just basically circles around questioning my reality, asking questions about things that are obvious to me, would be obvious to friends of mine, maybe like would have been in previous conversations about something, but really just boils down to my own individual perspective of, what what's really going on here, because there's a storyline that's being told to us that is very confidently saying this is what's happening in your reality as your reality. Now you can take it or leave it. If you leave it, you're a crazy motherfucker and you should just not even be a part of our society. Well, first of all, who gave you the authority to make the rules and regulations of how I perceive my reality? And why are you killing all these people and nature and the earth and all this other shit? Like just basic ass questions. Like what the fuck is going on here? You have no authority to be existing in the first place. So when are we going to start asking the questions that actually uproot the system? This is not new. All of the previous people who have been revolutionaries, to label it, for I hate labels, but they work for language anyway. But people who were speaking on that level were really talking at the depths, were really talking about the foundation itself. Whereas you have nowadays the complexities of social media and the mainstream media maintains a perspective that doesn't even allow us to get into any depths of the system itself, constantly being sick, constantly being distracted, and basically the bread and circus gone mainstream. I mean, it's gone across the earth, and it's the foundations, it's the a lot of people have difficulty going to these depths because a lot of the times, for one example, they haven't really experienced anything wrong with what's going on. They're just like, oh, the fucking it's just the economy. And then you're like, what the fuck? Like that simple ass shit, that's it? Like that, the fucking economy, that's the mainstream theme of what you should be focusing on. And there's no soul, there's no real higher mind kind of psychology or connection, and then your body is based upon just like looking a certain way, but it doesn't really necessarily mean that you have to be healthy. The same thing goes psychologically and spiritually. So once we start asking questions that ask how and why these things exist, rather than getting caught up in what they're telling us and who's telling us what to believe, once you start asking how and why, it's basically like a different, it's activating a different consciousness, a different way to perceive your reality, that is very much so a language that people can tap into without really um different kinds of natural connections like mushrooms, like different kinds of psychedelics allow you to speak, and really go into a place that when you're there and listen, speak and listen, like truly, like without and really, and also at the same time, like experience like what real rest is and what time is. Like these are why these things are criminalized in society. So all these things that exist in our society is the definition of our reality, is given to us by the system in order to manipulate our consciousness to not do shit about addressing the system itself. We're constantly distracted, constantly sucked into another form of like, all right, like how am I supposed to think today? What's up on the next newspaper reel or social media feed, or what celebrity had a fucking baby? It's all like the most basic shit. It's just like pop some fucking babies out.
Oh
Maybe,
man.
yeah, maybe there are no genders, so maybe you're like seven shades of like whatever, all the bullshit that's out there, that is both castrating people, chemical warfare, like the spiritual warfare and the psychological warfare, is down to the very nature. This is why we have genetically modified foods. It's down to the very nature of your relationship to this reality. So your food is a relationship to this reality. It's fucked up. They're fucking it up. They're making it seedless, and they make you seedless at the same time. And in the air, it's being sprayed. Then the water is being fluoridated. The rivers are being poisoned. The ocean is being polluted. And in your relationship to land itself, they're cutting down all the trees. Like, this is an actual parasite that needs to be held accountable in a way that comes from a space that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. This has already been done. There's already been people who have spoke on these issues and have gone to these depths and have really kind of asked and answered a lot of the questions that a lot of the times today we're not even aware of. We don't even know this shit exists. So if we're not aware of it, then it's really not activated in our consciousness. Like I say on a lot of my videos, the difference between having potential and kinetic energy. Like the information access that we have with Google and YouTube and all, it's the same thing. But all this information, it's not really. It doesn't really matter if it's just kind of potential. And I don't want to say it doesn't matter. It just generally it doesn't. It's not really active is the point until you do something with that information or root it. So a lot of the times, especially in Western society, we don't know what the fuck roots are. We don't, if you're rooted in America, like you're rooted in red, white, and blue, and apple pie, and hot dogs, and baseball games, and fucking Black History Month, and all that distractive shit. And then like every fucking holiday that's in every season, down to the very relationship that you have to time, they stop there. They're like, don't ask questions about time. There's fucking light years out there, and smart ass big headed motherfuckers like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye who just got all the fucking answers. They got all the fucking answers. You shut the fuck up. You have no questions. You're not even allowed to ask questions. Like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
These fucking primitive, savage, beastly motherfuckers don't have any right to question their reality. Because look at my tie, bitch. Look at my degree, bitch. Look at it's the most silly and ridiculous shit that's out there.
Oh man.
And people just lap it up, just like, oh yeah, I guess that's what I think because they said it on Netflix. Get the fuck out of here. You're in a different world. You're in a different consciousness. Like when you go and dream, you can become like in a dream world. You're the same. Like there's very similar. You have similarities there. And when you get into like lucid dreams, you can recall information and really communicate and learn things from your dreams. Listen again from your dreams. And communicate to your ancestors and yourself in dreams too. So if you can do all that in that space, like what is our true potential here when we're here? Like what is the relationship here, and what's the like what are some of the reasons why we're here doing whatever it is that we're fucking doing? And we can just see what it is that we're doing in reference to what this system has been doing for so long in so many different ways, but generally having the same effect on people, which boils down to not even questioning, thinking, or tapping into their reality. You only give a fuck about time, don't give a fuck about consciousness, don't give a fuck about nature and the ancestors. And there's a block there, especially in the biggest antenna, I call the biggest antenna for the bullshit on this earth plane is like the United States, like the Hollywood antenna, the news antenna, the Trump antenna, the comedy antenna, the food antenna, like the travel, like whatever it is, all that bullshit that they sell on every single commercial, like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. Like what the fuck is all this stuff in relation to who and what we are as a soul, and who and what we are as like the relationship to the ancestors? Right now, we don't even know what the fuck that is because they're telling you that your history starts at slavery. Your history starts at 1776. Your history starts when the university systems opened up. Your history starts when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue and discovered the fucking primitive savages that deserved to be fucking genocided. That's what they're saying when they're telling you this shit about, and they're celebrating this motherfucker Columbus every day. They're telling you, fuck you, you primitive savage beast. These motherfuckers deserve to be slaughtered the way they were to build the empire that we exist in today. So don't have any fucking questions about your reality. In fact, shut your fucking mouth, because we put one of you out there. Here's one of your people, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yep.
He's got a big fucking brain. You listen to him and he's got the authority to tell you what you are. Why? Because he's black, and at any moment he could pull that fucking card and be that guy in society, which he's already doing. He's already doing that. He's just doing it in a way that he thinks is slick, but it's the most slimy shit ever. That's the only way that it's slick. It's slimy, like nasty ass. It's what he represents, the consciousness of what he represents. And that goes for a lot of these other systems and frames of thought and that are just so thick in our reality that they generate the very definitions and relationships that we have with each other, with nature, with earth, with reality. And then before you even know that exists, you fucking die. Like they just told you to get a job, to get it. Shut the fuck up, you primitive motherfucker. Get a job. First, go to our schools and get in debt so you have to work forever. It's like the cheapest magic trick that's ever out there. It's like, all right, well, we'll just hope that 13 years of mind controlling these little fucking pieces of shit, that they'll get out there and just they'll go into college and be in debt to where they basically have to do the same thing that they did for the first 13 years of their lives, which was just submit to the authority of the system. It's like, do this, and then do this, and then when you do this, you're gonna have to do this, and by the time you get to the end of that, if you're successful, it's time for you to fucking die.
Facts. And it's crazy because in the process of everything you saying, and I like the way you're going in with it, I'm just thinking about one thing you said was how you got all of these communities with information but no solution and no actions being made. And one thing I like to say is, like, if your knowledge don't make you want to take an action, then it's useless. So for example, one thing I like to bring up is, like, if you look at our mentality, we kind of come off as pissed off at the world. We come off as mad at the powers that be. We ain't the typical calm talk show type setting with your tea and, you can come and relax and we ain't going to say nothing that's going to offend you and shit like that. You got these communities that they got a lot of the ancient knowledge that's fine and dandy. A lot of knowledge we teach, brother. But they still got this victimized shit. It's like they missing the whole part where you investigate the knowledge you do got and put the people on trial and see how much of this shit is real and fake. And just so I don't be vague and let you know what I'm talking about, here's what I mean. For example, we say that the answer is taking actions in our community, putting our feet on the ground, making shit happen. But the reason we haven't reached that point yet, because we haven't really came together in a think tank and established no method of action and shit like that. What happened, a lot of people came together on YouTube and different platforms like that, and they made revolution into a theme song. They basically made revolution into a pretty thumbnail, Sunday brunch conversations, a revolutionary today is a motherfucker that votes. Like, if you don't vote, like, a revolutionary today is, it's weird because the popular conscious outlets are addressing the shit that the news is addressing. CNN, North Korea, you heard North Korea about to drop that bomb, right? While we over here saying, hey man, North Korea and America ain't beefing. It's all a joke. Now we the pseudoscience for that. But what we saying, if enough of what we saying get into the people's mind, motherfuckers will start looking at the government like, hold up, man, fuck this shit. I'm tired, man. That's why I think we got the message that will bring forth that action. But one sad thing about it, every person that came with the message that'll stimulate humanity to get mad, they silenced, they're targeted, they're murdered. If you look at all the revolutionaries that was riling people up, man, getting people mad and shit, oh, they got rid of them quick, buddy. They got rid of them quick, buddy. And I want y'all to really think about what I'm saying. Out of all, think about what the revolutionaries is today. It's a nigga with a suit and tie on CNN arguing with a motherfucking news reporter about black people got it more worse than everybody. That's what a revolutionary is today. Like, and if he win an argument, and subconsciously in black people's mind, we want to fight. Even though we get up the next day, go to work, be slaves, and don't shit change. Did you hear such and such tell that reporter off, girl? He told his ass, I know my people, the kings of the earth, while you flipping the burger in a McDonald's uniform. It's a big fucking show, and your revolution has been televised. That's what we're telling you here today.
Yeah, it's so complex. Like I said, and I wouldn't really call what I'm talking about a message more so than a way of thought, a way of thinking. Like how like because I wouldn't like put into a box like what it is that I'm doing because I'm still doing it. Like I'm still growing, and that's part of the actual language of like asking questions about my reality, and then really kind of like allowing everything that is naturally like tuned in. Like flat earth was one of those things that, well, the not globe earth was one of those things that was just kind of like, all right, well, this makes way more sense than the bullshit that we're being told. So I don't need to know like the answers of what's going on. Like there there's it depends on what kind of perspective you want to take, like where you coming from, like, and that's that whole language that I was talking about, that we're actually being kept from speaking. Like when they tell you, like when the authorities of science tell you, no, do not think about your reality from this perspective, you believe what we tell you. Ships go over the curve, you big dummy. Like what the fuck are you, like that's your reality? Like that's really one of the legs you have to stand on. The brightest motherfuckers out there, that their leg to stand on is hoping that we don't use our zoom on our fucking cameras. Like it seems too simple. Like it seems way too fucking simple. And then that's when that was in the beginning of my like flat earth questioning. I was just like, all right, well, once if that's the case, then what really matters is what kind of power and authority came with this deception, and this authority of thought, and the languages that we speak. This is why language itself was so important to be spread. It creates a community, it creates a relationship, a connection, that like you can see the English language and for North America, and then South America the Spanish language as like a colonial psychological parasite that keeps you from, it creates an establishment that says these are these people, these are the new ones, and those are the old ones. So the ones who spoke different, the people who like in people in Peru, I think it's Peru, they speak like Quechua, like like different languages, like in the Inca, and then you have the Hopi languages. Like these are different languages, and stories exist in those languages. Like relationships exist in those languages. Connections to your ancestors and interpretations of this reality exist in those languages, and we're actually speaking a false language that's creating this false reality. That's this whole universe that's based upon, you know, what language are we using to ask the questions about this fucking earth and what's going on? Like, okay, like I don't speak another language, but I think that was to my benefit after kind of, in one case, I can't really say that. I think it would be really cool if I spoke other languages. But when point being is that when I went on like various psychedelic trips, from ayahuasca to mushrooms to LSD, then really kind of like seeing that this is one kind of language, but various styles of this language, but it's really a language like the language of listening or language of uh, connection, like tapping into like perceiving your reality from beyond the bullshit, for one example, but really just from like uh, existing, okay, for the moment. And then what happens in that space is it's another place of vulnerability that has been taken advantage of by a lot of these individuals and society cultures, and or not cultures, but like new age sort of like culture, that whole people and that frame of thought. That's another language, like the Pleiadian, like channeling and all that other shit, and fucking the Andromedans and literal space stations that they're talking about, like that exist with these fucking aliens that are speaking to them in their higher fifth dimensional perspective. And that's the only, you see how that's a fucking trap. Like you can you can say that shit forever, and as long as people keep making YouTube videos about it, then it's just going to be very real for a lot of people. If it's real for like these days with the internet, and I was just talking about this with some friends of mine, like these days, like the things really feel different. The language of our relationship to this reality feels different when you have the internet and like social media and that connection and that ability to just grab for your phone and then have all the answers about whatever question that you had. That's a very a solid split in reality where um you're going to have people who are just going to be consciously remaining ignorant, and then people who are just going to go into questioning their reality, and a lot of people are going to get lost in that world, which is actually a reflection of them. It's not, they're looking at what they're looking for, like they have chosen to look for something, and then it comes back and it's just like a reflection of who and what, like they are who and what they are and how they're perceiving their reality, what they are comfortable with choosing to be as their like reality. And then that's in relation, that's not like set in stone, that's just in relation to how I see it, in relation to how the mainstream media uses that kind of style of shifting and molding your reality to be perceived a certain way. And then you come out, you know, living entire lifetimes, and you take it a step even further, probably multiple lifetimes, like doing this shit over and over and over again. And what is this shit that you're talking about? Like, what is this? And then you say, okay, well, what am I being told this shit is? Like, what are they saying this is? And like, what is, you know, what is all this? And then by the time you're done, you're either caught up in one group, you're caught up in one teaching, you're caught up in like this is it's still the washing machine trying to clear out all the bullshit that you don't really need. Because what it really boils down to is when you stop asking, like you're still asking questions, you're open to asking questions and always learning, but the questions get simpler and the answers get simpler. If they get more complicated, then it's kind of like how I see it. For me, it's kind of like going the wrong way. Like I have to be able to explain what's going on to like a 5 or a 6 year old. Like what kind of, you know, what are we really asking about our reality? Like what is really going on? Does fucking Donald Trump really matter to the food, water, and shelter of fucking 5 and 6 year old? No, it doesn't fucking like like in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, these are just puppets. So if you can just stop there and pride yourself in not being the biggest piece of shit in like one version of reality, but the system itself is just a reflection of a Donald Trump at best. He's like literally he's the best they could do. Like that's the best alchemy that they have, is to play that card right then and there. And the same thing goes with like any of these false flags or other the wars itself, like the military industrial complex and the prison industrial complex. Like those are other questions, kind of like those questions are beat down just like questioning heliocentrism is. You can't even ask about the prison and military industrial complex, and that's something that's very, that so-called that flat earth is very good at sharing with people, is the the possibility to have some proof that everything that you've been told about this reality has been a fucking lie. Like literally everything, the language of the way you perceive this reality has been a total lie. And now they're trying to generate these new lies through these new um, agendas and communities, like the New Age community, Black conscious community. What's happening is that people are a lot of people are the vast majority of people are that are going into this is because they're starting to question their reality. So there is like at some points having escapist type um, tendencies. So when you have an escapist type tendency, the next place that you escape to, you have to make home. So when you make that place, that language, that consciousness home, and it feels all warm and cozy, like you're watching a fucking movie on your TV dinner tray, eating your hungry man dinner, and you just came home from your steel working job, and you're about to have your third baby, and you got your picket white fence house, like you're living the fucking boom. You're in a whole world. You're in a universe that was generated to create that TV dinner consciousness for you. And then that affects the very way that you question your reality. So is it about the fucking TV dinner, or is it about the fucking way we have been shrunk down in our potential beyond that? See, we get into the reactionary mode of like, oh, well, this is just like, we've been persecuted for so long, and then like, okay, well, what are your real weapons? Like, what's your real strength? What is your strength? One obvious one that I've seen is really getting down to the nitty gritty of how a lot of these mind control programs like racism and Western society colonialism and all that other stuff, these are things that still have not been healed, just like our relationship to Earth. They haven't been healed in society. And once we start to fully question, like heal that, we'll have a better reflection of what it is. We'll have better questions to ask because we'll have less bullshit in the way, and we'll be asking from a better place, a deeper space that will present more situations to us that will be less inclined to be co-opted by the system. So like a deeper interpretation can't be co-opted by this cheap ass magic. Like once we're in a cheap ass magic spell, until you break that spell, you still have to recover from that spell. You still have to heal from that spell. And then once you get there, you have to relearn your magic again because you've lost so much time. Like you in that time, this is like dream time, and like we've lost so much. And then I'm gonna start talking now.
No, hey, the people is
I was
loving
like,
the
oh
bill.
shit, I forgot. I was like,
No, you be digging deep. We be getting into it,
yeah,
bro. You dropping jewels. But like you was saying, man, I think one of the problems with us, like a lot of stuff you bringing up about the dream state and all of that, and even flat Earth itself. We at the tip of the iceberg when it come to our true ancestral spirituality. We know that shit ain't popular. Now, what's popular is the Cometicism, the Hotep, and the sun worship, etc. But one thing I want to point out is like You called it something just a minute ago. The runaway mentality,
Escapist.
the escapists, the motherfucking escapists, because you got this whole movement now, man, and it's been going on of salvation is just one border away. Like what y'all doing, man? Our freedom is going to South America or going back to Africa or going to the motherland or going to this land or going over here to get some land. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think that shouldn't even be an option when it comes to solutions, because that ain't standing up, and then it's not a feasible option for everybody in this land. I did a couple of videos about that, about the whole, man, you need to get your passports, dog. You need to get up out of America, man. I'm telling you, because the beast about to lock it down. The beast got the whole grid locked down. Ain't no 7 continent you can go to that's safe. And that's one thing I think we just wasting money and time, and a lot of people leaving families behind. I ain't gonna even say their name, it might come up. But you got a cult in South America now. I had this gentleman on the show. It's a real cult. If you look at some of their stuff, they're South American cults. Some of y'all know who I'm talking about. Look at the videos they put out. It's more glitz and glamour than knowledge. These people say that they more holier than thou and all that because they so-called in nature, when they doing the same thing we doing, just in the woods. Now, most of us, we live in a wooded area, or if you from Alabama like me, you actually live in nature. But that ain't enough. You got to escape what they call in Babylon. And I think one show we need to do is, what is Babylon? Because a lot of people using that to say, hey, run away from America. Babylon gonna get you. You in Babylon. You got men who got daughters and sons, and now they following another man. And listen, it's been a lot just on my mind. I don't even want to get into it, but a lot of people know what I'm talking about, man. Look, if it go that route, I'm gonna have to, because it's so much deception need to be exposed, bro. Like, there's really no answer to us but standing up, being resistant, letting these folks know we know you fucking lying our children in school. No, I'm not helping them with homework no more. No, I'm not teaching them this shit no more. No, I'm not. Look, we need that kind of rebellion. I'm going to tell you why now. People hear me talking, they say, wow, that's too radical. That's too much. Well, it ain't no other option out this shit. If you got handcuffs on your hand on one wrist, right? And you got the other wrist handcuffed to a metal pole that's bolted to the foundation, you can't get away. And the building burning down, you about to be burnt alive. But you got a saw in your other hand. Will you be willing to cut yourself loose? It ain't gonna be pretty, buddy, but you'll live. But the man who ain't willing to do that, he won't. But it's about saving yourself. I hate to make that gross example, but unfortunately, guys, that's the situation we in. We in a burning building right now. We in a sinking ship, and we strapped to this motherfucker. Now check this out. The crazy thing about it, when I say sinking ship, I'm talking about not that something wrong with the land or the continent sinking under the water. Get that out of your head. We getting so dumbed down that we're more controlled now than ever before. So when I say the ship sinking, a lot of people running away because they saying, hey, in a minute, Americans finna be just like Hitler had his citizens. So that's what I mean by sinking ship. The land gonna be here thriving good. It's just the level of power and control over the people getting stronger and stronger. But here's the thing why I brought that up. What's going on because of that is a lot of these country groups saying, well, we got to get the fuck out of America, man. We got to go here. We got to go there. We got to go back home. What they don't realize is what's going on in America is going on every continent right now. It's going on just all the major continents. It's going on right now. Weapon control, gun control. Some of these countries ain't had weapons in years anyway. You got to think about that. Like, they taking our guns now. They doing something that most of these governments been did. you don't even see guns in Asia. Like when I was in Korea, it's so rare to come across a gun. They got knives. When you in China, knives. And it's deep because they got the biggest populations and they able to control guns more than us. So it ain't what I'm saying at the show is that our government can do what the fuck they want if they want to take our guns and do all that. Here's the thing though, they ain't got to. We so dumbed down. Um, we'll give them up willingly. So a lot of the people in the so-called conscious communities today, they basically now you got to think about what consciousness is. The whole conscious community shit was the rebellion against the powers that be. Now, when you look around the conscious communities today, you see people like myself who very rebellious against the powers that be. Then you see me debating a lot of powerful men in the community who they go along with the shit that the powers that be say. These are the more popular channels in the community and all that because this is something I sort of call this new ageism. But they selling everybody the same package with a different ethnic kit on it. So if you want to be a comedic person and worship the sun that way with a dashiki on, they don't care. You know, they'll let you do that too. You want to go to church and be Jesus and worship the sun that way, they don't care. The whole thing about sun worship is putting something else at the center of your spirituality and reality. And that way you won't see that was the power to change everything ain't outside of yourself, it's within you. Now the crazy thing about it is meditation is good, burning incense is good, doing rituals and magic is good. But here's what people gonna get mad at me about. None of that can help us out of our situation. Only thing can help us out of our situation is physically getting busy. And that's when people start debates can come for that. Cause some people say, man, we ain't gotta do shit. If we all meditate together and go over there in the corner, we can do this and do no. I disagree with that. But I'm kind of blabbering on, I'm kind of venting, but one thing I want to say is think about what we saying, right? You in a time where another grown man with children will leave his family to go follow another grown man and be a child again. And I think that's so sad. But man, subtle just going in on a bunch of shit that's just been on different things on our mind. And I guess we can look at the chat and take a couple of questions or points at some point too.
Yeah, in reference to what you were just saying, I see um, like this from the micro and the macro scale. And the macro scale, it's kind of like us. We're approaching ourselves on like a battlefield. There's a war going on for our consciousness. Like there's an attack against. There's a formal, an actual attack on the way we experience our reality. If that's happening in like observing war tactics, then you have to see that your biggest strength is there. If your relationship to what's going on is it's that if that's attacked by the enemy, then that is going to be your strongest weapon against the enemy that's attacking you. So when we're approaching ourselves on this battlefield, there's various um things that you have to do, just like a regular, like if you approach somebody who was you didn't know what was going on, and you have to check for first, like check for their breathing. I can't remember the order, but it's like breathing and bleeding and burns and shock and fractures and compound fractures, like everything you go through in an order. You approach it like you're approaching this individual. You don't know what's going on. You don't want to make the problem any worse by moving the person around. You have to go in this order. If you don't go in that order, then the person could, run out of breath or suffocate or whatever it is. Check for, yeah, that was another part. Like check for the open airways, and that's in breathing. But it was just kind of like this. There's this approach to what we are and how we're perceiving this reality that doesn't even become like active on our reality a lot of the times, because the escapist mechanism comes up and we're just like, I'm like, well, the war is not going to go away. That's one thing that I realized when I was in and around the new age sort of consciousness, like in like a new age community around new so-called new age people. They have these things that actually exist. But for people who don't know, there's a there's this sort of this world exists, but that world doesn't exist sort of mentality. And I don't think that's healthy in a sense, relating to like our healing before we make any movements. It's just kind of like before you go anywhere, you have to first heal. You can't walk down any path if you still have two broken legs, a collapsed lung, you're like bleeding out of your fucking like internal bleeding, like all this shit's going on, and none of it's been addressed because you just say, oh, well, the fucking Pleiadians are gonna save the day, or the Bible or Jesus is gonna save the day, like Santa Claus is gonna save the day, like something is gonna fucking save the day. It takes the responsibility off of you and your relationship to consciousness. This is why we use these things as reflections to perceive ourselves from a deeper layer of consciousness, as we like pull ourselves along, just like in a dream or an experience or in a relationship. We're like helping each other grow, so we're just like we're like expanding. And then once we get caught up in, this is how it is, this is what's going on in our reality, that's when our expansion and our questions start to they stop. And then the entire intention of the mainstream media, the university system, the politics, capitalism, so-called democracy, the Western so-called civilization, colonial bullshit, like all of this is an entire mind control program that's designed to stop you from actually thinking, so that you or at best you think to a certain degree. It literally, then you have one degree of interpreting your reality, like you have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering or some stupid shit like that, and you can call yourself a fucking science guy. Like, what the hell is going on? And people are like loving this shit, and then like thinking that this is like the reality. It's, I don't know what like I remember being in that space. I'm not saying it like I'm separated from it. I remember being that person, and I remember like having those frames of thought affecting my reality, and it was very sickening. Like I physically started to feel sick after a while, because and that's how this shit manifested, like from our relationship to our lack thereof, or our relationship to the soul, and then the mind, the higher mind, and the body. Like this is all well documented in different languages and symbolism across the earth in very similar ways. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we do have to heal what has happened, instead of just escaping from it and acting like it doesn't fucking exist anymore. I'm not trying to judge anybody for doing whatever it is they're doing. This is just me sharing my passion of how I feel personally. Anybody else can just go do whatever it is that they feel guided to do. That's ain't shit wrong with it. And who the fuck is anybody else to say otherwise? But when you have people, and you have people who are just gonna fucking, stay in wherever they're doing, and you just be like, all right, like we need to figure this out. It's not like you're trapped in Babylon or something like that. What the fucking, that's like some childish ass shit. It's like it's too much externalization in that
Facts.
space, to where like, oh, you hold yourself up on a fucking pedestal. Who the fuck are you? Like who are you any different? Like, what makes you any better than the person, that's, you know, doing whatever down the street in whatever inner city, anywhere? Like, what the fuck? There is no difference there, but that war still exists. And since you got away, like, okay, fine, good for you, congratulations. And maybe some people, that's what they need to be doing. But there's going to be other people that are going to be like, oh, fuck this. No, I'm going to say something about this. I'm going to start, I don't give a fuck about what, like, this is some bullshit. And people are, we a lot of the times we don't see that these ancestors and these people are like, we're already being killed. Like we're already like what there's nothing else to wait for. And that's the thing. That's a lot of these people and they wait for in a sense of thinking, not like, oh yeah, like yeah, let's do no in reference to that yeah sort of mentality in a frame of thought, like a velocity of thought in reference to like what the fuck is going on here? Like what does this mean? Like why are we being attacked on so many fronts from this like parasite of our consciousness. And then once we get there, is it about just like, all right, just letting the parasite be? Or are we going to start healing ourselves and helping our other brothers and sisters to realize who are susceptible to this disease and who are stuck in this disease? If you have the information there, like it's not going to be beneficial for them for you to hold yourself on a fucking pedestal if you're really trying to help them. And then people say, I'm not trying to save the world. Okay, well, it's not about trying to save the world. That's too personal. That's like there's a difference between the micro and the macro. Like that, when people say that, it's there's you can both have your reality from like how I explain it. It's the difference between attachment, like ultimate attachment, because you woke up, you have a responsibility. This is just me like speaking how I perceive it. Like I have a fucking purpose. Like I woke up for some reason. Like I can, draw some shit. I can like, speak and interpret, and I can speak a language. I can, be present for people, like, or just listen, or I can do things, and all these other people, everybody can do whatever it is that they're doing, but we're constantly doing what somebody else told us to do, including how we think. And that shit literally affects the way we perceive and interact in this reality. And the next big thing is just to create another form of thinking. So enter in simulation theory and transhumanism and like all these other like like hip and cool sort of like, ooh, this is being spoken about by Brian Cox and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill. They're all on the same. Elon Musk, that motherfucker just sent a car into space. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna listen to that guy. Like, what the fuck kind of cartoons are we watching today? And then like that affects the very way we have that affects our relationship with ourselves. If you're gonna believe a piece of shit like that storyline, like you might as well believe in Santa Claus. What you think that red car was and that fake ass dude in the space suit? That was fucking Santa Claus.
You know what?
On his sleigh going on the sleigh, slaying the fucking masses.
Damn, that was deep. That was it, man. That sound that is so fucking deep, yo. Because when you think about this shit, right? What you just said is something that I want everybody to think about. The top scholars in these conscious communities, so-called, got the Bible on trial. They say they don't do the aliens. Some of them even do that. But they call themselves, atheists, historians, and they dealing with the real science, right? Now check this out. You just said some real shit. I just saw some of these folks go in on Christians because you really believe a dude walked on water? And then I go in on them because they really believe that water can hold the shape of a ball. And they don't see how it's all belief just like the Christians. And it's so deep because it's like now that the more awakened you get, the more you see that the blind arguing with the blind. And the people who really got the truth are the most dumbest motherfuckers in society. All the blind people look at us and laugh. And they say, now that's the real dummies. And then they go and debate each other about men coming from space, aliens, people coming from monkeys,
theoretical
shit like that.
Bullshit, just like the fucking way we perceive this.
Please talk to him, sir. Go in.
Who the fuck are you? Like your whole establishment is on trial. The fuck this whole thing. Like this is it never had any legs to stand on. Yet we still think that it needs to be, or we need to be with it. This is why I have questions about like parts of the so-called Black conscious community in reference to like all this Black economics and Black this and Black that. And like I understand the relationship to that language and that inner sense of like, I know what it does on the positive end. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying go deeper than that and start questioning why that type of mentality, just like materialism, is being is spread on a regular basis. Like it's a sense of emptiness that's inherent in just like, oh well, I, I just showed up and I'm black. Is that enough? Like, yeah, good job. All right, yeah, I did. Like, did we do it? What did we do? You did it, man. Like, you did black economics. So I'm like, okay. Like, all right, well, what about the system itself, the way this exists that keeps us trapped within? Like, we want to make a black business within the Federal Reserve. We want to make a black business within. That's a whole way we approach. That's a part. If you want to, the people are thinking in frames of like the whole Black Panther movie consciousness. It's like, just like, be a superhero for 2 fucking hours, and then when the credits start running, we're gonna make you be just a little pissant in reference to the United Nations. So basically, your powers don't even exist anymore. Your bullshit, Wakanda forever, strengthen you, whatever that, like, what are all that bullshit? It still will never be as powerful as the establishment itself. That's what Marvel is doing to these children. It's like a lot of these like the mentality. I was just talking about this with friends the other day in reference to cartoons nowadays, in reference to cartoons like back in the 80s. Like, obviously all of it's mind control program. You can see the racist programming, all the at one level. You can see all kinds of programs there. But point is that another observation point is like somebody was what are they comparing like the Teletubbies to like Care Bears or something. I was like, and this was a younger person. I was like, what the fuck? Like, in reference to like the Care Bears had like superpowers and shit, and it was like doing like they was like doing good for Care Bear Kingdom or whatever the fuck they were. They had like responsibilities and shit. And then whereas like this whole pop culture in sync black was it Backstreet Boys, TRL, like Carson Daly's sort of plastic ass cartoon, like Teletubby just hop around all day and just be like, the Teletubbies are like the new age sort of like way of perceiving, just be like thinking about the sun as like just the sun. That's another thing. They got the baby's head in the sun. Like, all you talking about that sun worship shit. They got all these like mind control. Point being, I got off on a tangent. Point being is that there was kind of like morals and ethics until it in the early days, and then now there's not only nothing, but there's anti something. That's another way of thinking. And like, so back when we were at least allowed to think on a level of like, all right, well, shit's fucked up all over and we need like superheroes, thinking like as a kid or something like that. And then like, why? Because there's people doing fucked up shit. Like, there's okay, well, what kind of fucked up shit? Well, once you start that questioning, you're going to get to the very nature of your relationship to this reality as a whole, and like what the establishment has told you about that relationship. And then once you remove all that shit, see, you're not even gonna allowed to get into that space through the manipulation of stuff like cartoons or the mainstream media as a whole, because now it's just about just like floating around, just like be a floating piece of shit that just was shat out of the Big Bang. Just be happy that you're not a fucking monkey anymore, that evolved from a monkey. Be happy that you have a flip phone, because I do have a flip phone. Be happy that you have a fucking smartphone and a smart meter and a smart car and a smart chip and you're smart, motherfucker. That's what they're trying to tell you. You're a smart motherfucker, but you're the dumbest motherfucker out there.
Yep.
Because the way you think is what determines your intelligence. It's not necessarily, not completely about what you think about. It's like all of that and the way you think, like how you interpret that information into kinetic energy. Take that potential energy and put it towards something. this follower and escapist mentality, the side effects to that mentality has the side effects to that shit has a tendency to do is trap people in a cool crowd. It's like playing our own, playing what's natural to us against us. So we have this thing where we communicate with each other, and we're just like, man, this is some tight ass shit. Like I can learn from this. Like I can help people. I can like learn how to raise my children from a different like. But this shit is like we sometimes take it for granted. Like, but this is the shit that lasts forever. Like when you're really going into like all of it, literally like in like lasts forever, obviously, but like actively lasts forever. So to activate the stuff that's inside of us is kind of like the opposite of what the system wants you to be, is just this zombified, undead sort of thing. You're like, you're not really alive. You're just undead until you're fucking dead. Like that's it. Like good, thanks for showing up. And here's your like here's whatever it is that you did. And then like, oh great. And then that's it. Well, did you like I guess that was enough. Like what was it enough? I don't know. But the point is, the point is that we're told exactly what that situation is by the university system. They tell you exactly. It's like nothing matters. It's just you're just alive now. Just buy an apple pie and a car, a Mustang, and a nice house, and pop a few babies out, and then have a good, send your kids to school, and then you go into a retirement home, have no connections to earth, no questions of your reality, no relationships, no don't ask about the man behind the curtain. Don't go there at all. Just go back to sleep and then start over again. I don't know whatever it is, but the point is like we're specifically being told. That's what kind of like
You
my
know,
passion is that yeah, we're being told what to think and how to feel and how to exist, and that's the most fucked up thing ever. And then if we just jump into another cult like sort of mentality, is that really like doing anything? Are we really healing? We might be healing ourselves, but healing like our relationships with the rest of like this earth, like like through through questioning your reality is healing a relationship that you have with earth itself. A part of earth wakes up inside of us once we start saying, hey, that globe don't look right, like that's, and it's something just like something starts up to where it's just like, all right, well, if that's true, these motherfuckers are floating around in front of a camera on strings, and there's like shadows all over the bubbles in space, and fucking like just fake ass rocket. You want me to believe this shit? Like, oh, so many things add up. It doesn't matter, like literally, like in the long run, on the macro scale, it doesn't matter what is actually within that information that's coming to be. We get lost in that. That's the whole, like, we get lost in the reflection. We really don't take the perspective of the relationship, like what's actually happening. So there's a relationship that for the positive that you have, and the negative, not in a bad way, a negative in a way of holding accountable, which some of us have not, that activated in within us is not like supposed to be with everybody else, but in reference to addressing like this system that's working against us from the inside out on a micro and a macro scale. Like what that not everybody needs to be doing that or whatever, but some people are going to be doing that. And for people who are not doing that, fine. Do whatever it is that you're gonna do, but don't fucking shit on people who are like really trying to continue asking questions about Babylon or whatever. Like, why? Because fucking why not? Why not? Like, do I need anything else? Like, fuck anybody for saying like why you should. Man, fuck you. Ask your questions and don't have any question about it.
that's pretty much it. And I'm gonna tell you something right now, man. That I find real crazy is that a lot of people got the escapist mentality, and a lot of people got the head in the sand mentality. And I'm gonna tell you about that one now. But I'm gonna give a shout out to Chef Knowledge, man. Appreciate the donation. Chef said knowledge is power when you use it. That's facts. Let me give a shout out to Flat Plane, Mr. P. And also let me give a shout out. Somebody else gave a donation earlier. It was Eyes Open Finally. Appreciate that, y'all. But yeah, what I was saying was now you got a lot of groups that think we already look, man, we at a level now where, like I said, in the minds of the people who oppress, we so fucking oppressed and dumbed down that the part of us that will fight to get out of our oppression has been channeled to entertainment. So a lot of the minds that came up young in the school systems and wanted to be bright was innocent. Like myself, for example, as a child, I came up in school. I love science. I love space. I like to talk about planets, and I like to imagine just the different floating worlds that can be out there. You know, I done been through it all, you know, diamond planets, gold planet. You know, as a child, it fascinated me. I excelled in school. And as I grew up, you know, I wanted to be impacting my society in a positive way, like a lot of the revolutionaries we read about. But let me tell you something. I found out quick that everything I learned was a lie, and that the revolution was really challenging the powers that be. Now the crazy thing about that is this, right? You come up innocent, trying to make an impact in society, and then you find out that society itself has made the biggest impact on nature and on you too in the worst way. And then you withdraw from society. And and I'm gonna tell you something right now. A lot of people still so plugged into this system and society that the part of us that would rebel and fight to destroy the whole system itself is now caught up into, well, you Democrat or Republican, you conservative or liberal. And then you got all of these debates. But I always tell y'all the debates are inevitable, but they just got us debating the wrong shit. The debates never was supposed to last for decades and centuries. The debates were supposed to go on for a minute till a conclusion came out of those debates, and then we took an action. That's the natural way it go. People in a society that rebel against the powers, before they do that, the people have a war of their own minds. Like, how should we do it? No, well, they're doing this. Well, I think we ought to vote the right politicians. And then they reach a point over the years where they say, well, you know what? Fuck voting the right politicians. We realize they all on the same team. So what do we do now? And then the more they learn, okay, they realize, damn it, ain't no other hope but to. Every rebellion we saw, it wasn't a pretty one. It wasn't one where the people, hey, man, we found the right president and he led us all into liberation. You know, it wasn't like so what I'm saying is, over here in America, most of the people that supposed to be leading the, you know, what I would call rebellion. And when I say rebellion, I mean just rebelling on the lies. Everything that we've been taught to maintain this system of lies or this matrix. The people that would be rebelling on that and be your revolutionaries today, they just reselling you this American dream. And see, you gotta be sleep to engage in that. When you come over here, people wake you up, and when somebody under the cover sleeping good, they get mad at you for snatching them covers off them. So I ain't gonna lie, man, like that's what we represent. People under the cover, they keep debating about. Well, it's a debate going on right now as we speak, and it's all about a pseudoscience theory versus another pseudoscience theory. And what people don't realize is that this what got the world sleeping a slumber for the past couple centuries. These men were called sophists, and this is where we get the term sophomore. If you go to school when you're in the 10th grade, you're a sophomore, but the 10 is the number of completion. So it's that's why this whole thing about 10 and sophist and sophomore. But the thing about it, the real truth of the cosmos was corrupted. How it was corrupted, it was made very overcomplicated. So the word sophist is the root word of sophisticated. The men that run our world had took ancient concepts that the ancients spent generations trying to simplify, and they ruin those concepts by making them very complex and sophisticated. And we're in a sophist world today where your science is sophisticated, and it take an interpreter to come in with a theoretical man who got the degree, who can break down to you about your reality, where back in the day it was so simple a 12-year-old can break it down. So we're in a sophist world today, and the thing about it is being smart ain't necessary. Go ahead, you can cut in for sure.
I was just gonna add to that. You can keep rolling the whole Sophia thing with the Earth, and that was one of the main things that I heard when the Mandela effect came in. It was part of the New Age sort of interpretation of what the Mandela effect was. When people in the New Age became aware of the Mandela effect, they started calling it the Sophia effect. So I just wanted to add that to the whole Sophia kind of cultish sort of stuff that's going on.
You so right, man. I ain't even think about the tie in the etymology with Sophia. That's deep right there. And the crazy thing about it is it goes back to what you were saying earlier. That's why I deal with a lot of symbols. Symbols simplify shit. That's why they got the same root words, Sam and Sim. The symbol is an instrument that when you crash them together, you get a unique sound. It's a very high-pitched sound that can't be duplicated by nothing else. And the reason is the symbol shaped like the earth. Now, I ain't going to go too deep into that. I'm just bringing that down to you why symbol is simple. The first symbol that ever existed was a circle with a dot in the middle. That's the target symbol, bullseye. And the crosshairs and all that, but that's the symbol of the earth. That was the first symbol that all the people on the earth drew, and they didn't even know each other, but they came to concept that, hey, this right here is like the simple code. So the word simple and symbol, you will see this. The deep thing about that circle with the dot in the middle is that's an egg with the yolk in the middle. So this is like the code of the cosmos right here. And this is like the body with the spirit in it. Everything is cloaked inside of this illusion. But the thing is, what the sophists did, they sophisticate, they made, here's the thing. The only way you can corrupt ancient symbols is to take away the simpleness of them. What made those symbols so unique is that they were so simple, man, that they extended the knowledge across the age bracket. So a fucking 12-year-old can teach what a 50-year-old can teach, and everybody can teach it. And you know, it wasn't like you had to go spend some money, get a loan, spend $100,000 on this sophisticated degree, and then when you go through the school system, the way what we call learning today is bullshit, because what we don't realize is the word education come from the word educe. And when you think of the word reduce, for you to be reduced, you got to be educed. So you're not in your natural state, humanity. You're not at where you need to be on a food chain because you've been reduced, because you've been educed. Now, when you went through the talk to him. You can cut back in when you want to. Cause
no, go ahead. You was in. I just wanted to add a little to it.
Oh yeah. Hey, appreciate it, my brother. I need that because it's deep, brother. Because think about this, Subtle. I was thinking about this shit last night before I went to sleep. When we was in school in this education or edu system, when we was being reduced, they didn't teach us shit. They indoctrinated us. The whole thing about memorization, okay? If I tell you something, I'm gonna give you the answer, and next time I ask you the question, you better tell me the answer I told you or you didn't get it right. That ain't fucking learning. What they did was they put all us in a little matchbox classroom and they taught you how to fucking obey authority, by telling you what the fucking answer to the question was, that's indoctrination, because learning is letting you find it out. The real classrooms was in the forest, all right, not fucking in a desk, a little room. And the diet that they giving them in the lunch system is fucking making the children just obese and face full of acne. They give them milk all day when it's hot outside, and you know that ain't good. And I'm gonna tell you something else. The crazy thing about it, sitting in the classroom, right, raising your hand, and a teacher, now all of y'all know the answer because she told you what the fuck the answer was. Your study guide told you the answer. You ain't have to learn it, you studied it. They tell you the question. They say, who discovered America? Well, you said Columbus. No, what happened is you never investigated to see who really discovered America till you got old and you realized Columbus ain't discover a goddamn thing. And in the classrooms, what you discover is that you was educed, you was indoctrinated, because that ain't learning by somebody telling you a lie and then asking you the question. And if you don't tell them the lie that they told you, you didn't get the question right, so you ain't gonna get a good job. In other words, if you don't believe this lie, you don't get ahead in this reality, and everything they teach you is a lie. And the person who learned a lie the most get the degrees and the nice cars and all of that. And he can teach you all about how we came from monkey asses and all that, because he's smarter. You see what I'm saying? But the wise guy giving you the knowledge of the universe always, for some reason, been the poor guy. The wise guy in knowledge been poor in reality, because you see, the crazy thing about wisdom and being wise, when you wealthy in wisdom of the earth, it will withdraw you from society. When you go through an education system that indoctrinates you, they tell you what reality is based upon corruption, indoctrination, making you a slave. And if you don't get the answer right, you fail. That's slavery. That's our whole school system is a lie. And the thing about that kind of programming, what it does, if you're that student who raised your hand in the classroom and the teacher called on you and you told her that answer and she said, Kimberly, you right. Yes, give her a hand, class. That applauding, right, sticks with you forever. You remember being smart. You remember making an A. You remember raising your hand in that indoctrination system and the teacher calling on you and you told her to lie back to her and she said, yes, you answered it like a slave and you got rewarded. So when you grow up and somebody like us come along who telling you, look, you was lied to, you automatically rebel because you emotionally attached to that applauding. Just like when you're a child, your parents applaud you when you say little words and stuff and do little stuff. They say, there you go, baby, she said that. That's what they do in school. When you say, yes, Alexander the Great was a powerful man, he was very wise, they clap. Yes, you got it right. You can go to the next grade and you find out as an adult he wasn't no Alexander the Great. He was Alexander the Greedy Greek is what he was. And he wasn't a smart man. He was a stupid dummy who was a killer, a maniac. And all of these guys they told you was great to them was really the worst people in society. But if you didn't say they was great in school, you didn't get to A now. So it's all about what we gonna do. Is you gonna go against that entire education academic system? Because if you do that, your son ain't gonna get a good job. Your son gonna be walking around talking about flat earth and getting laughed at. He ain't gonna be able to go and get a good job. So that's what we up against. They can't fight for truth because there's no incentive to fight for the ancestors other than dying a noble death. But since people got the YOLO mentality, they don't care about what happened to them after they die. They want to ball out now. They don't care that every action they take right now is a vibration upon the ether, upon this entire cosmos that we in. Everything you doing, every word you speak. So your deeds and actions can work for nature and a righteous cause and serve you in the afterlife, or they can work for yourself and your greed right now and only serve you in this life. That's what the religions was trying to say in so many words. But you know what? I don't want to go too long because we digging deep now, and I want my brother Subtle to definitely take back over, man.
Yeah, to add on that, something you mentioned in a live stream, I think it was your last live stream, you said you were talking about maps, and you said maps are the biology of the earth, like in reference to like a layout or a layout of the biology of the earth. And that in a sense at the same time is another sort of relationship or connection or educate, like we've been educed or reduced with this. We've been basically that we've severed our connection to the biology of this reality when we're looking into something like heliocentrism as the end all be all of what we are, and the emptiness of the atheist sort of the not sort of but the for the atheistic approach that the university has is totally it is in every sense. It's not the university system against religion. That's the game that's being played. That's the Stephen Colbert, John Oliver, Bill Maher show. That's what's being played to be even in flat earth, like certain, certain perspectives. They're like that kid, that evolution guy. And then like you have a lot of Christian flat earthers and that whole thing. It's not necessarily about the what was it? Oh yeah, it's not. I lost my train of thought there for a second. It's not the science versus the religion. It's the science or the atheistic scientism community that's actually against the essence of what religion is, like beyond all the various micro things within religion, just a connection to like nature or connection to the most high in a different kind of way. Like that very simple connection is in so many ways a threat to the parasite itself, because if you have that connection, you will be aware of a parasite that is within all of your bodies, your emotional body, your relationship bodies, like your physical body, your psychological body, your spiritual bodies. Like these are all infested with parasites and diseases that have been installed by this education system, supposedly education system. That's like saying that modern civilization is civil or is a civilization. There is nothing civil about this. This was never a civilization. So that whole thought process is an attack on the peoples, a specific peoples that had a relationship to this earth, the most high, and like all like everything that we could perceive. There's an actual style of thinking, a style of perceiving your reality that is not limited to the fucking religious people that get put up against in a debate next to Bill Nye. That's not what that represents. That's the WWE version of what the fuck the real fight and the real war that's going on, which is this parasite, this soul parasite, these parasites that are existing in thoughts, existing in dreams, existing in relationships, existing in just our overall understanding, and overstanding of who, what, why, and how we are. Like, what the fuck is all this shit? Like, we're being told what it is, and that's my whole point with a lot of the videos on my channel. It's just like I don't have all the answers on it. I don't claim to have answers. I just have a lot of questions that a lot of other people that might have questions, and then I perceive a lot of different perspectives from having those questions, and that's enough for me. I don't need a big ass. I don't need like all this other, like all the bells and whistles. See, that's that entertainment mentality that's still existing in a lot of people these days. Like the whole, like I went in on Ralph Smart recently because it was just like this. It's starting to feel even more and more like a disease, like that new age sort of peace, infinite waters, diving deep. Look at the fucking shirt. Get the fucking shirt. Like it's breathing in good ass prana. Didn't you fucking hear it? Don't you want it on a shirt? Like it's like do this do this, think this way, and just keep doing it. But like, don't really go deeper than that. Like, don't question the way you think, just change what you're thinking about. Like, don't activate how you think and why you think. Don't even tap into that consciousness. Just regurgitate, like you said in the education system, will regurgitate what somebody else told you to remember. Not even think. Don't think about it, just remember it and then spit it back out back at us. And you're a successful motherfucker. You have a degree, you have a car, you're gonna be somebody. Because before now, you weren't shit. You're just a fucking dumb. This is what I went in on the Wizard of Oz video recently, and that lays it out completely. Like in reference to the cowardly lion who needs courage, and then the Tin Man needs a heart, and then the Scarecrow needs a brain, and then Dorothy needed to get her ass home, and like that whole thing. And then the wizard just shows up and tells him, "Oh, go kill this motherfucker." Turns everybody, turns the Scarecrow and everybody into assassins to go kill this lady, and then come back, and then come after you killed this person, come back, and then it makes the system the good guy. That's how they did it. It was like, well, she's obviously the bad guy. Look how fucked up. You can see the good witch, like she's nice, like that's obvious. And then there's the bad witch. So here's this is another example of the Hegelian dialectics within the Hegelian dialectics. The dreams within dreams, or distractions within distractions. And we get caught up in the show that's being shown to us. We don't really question the nature of the theater. We get stuck in the movie. We don't go any further than that. And then we end up believing what the movie told us. Oh, was that your superhero? Yeah, he just went to the United Nations and told them, like, yeah, we're gonna be really cool with you guys, all right? And then they're like, yeah, Wakanda forever. And then like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, so, but people fall right into that, and that's another form of education. It's a literal attack on our babies. That's where my passion comes from. It's just like, this is an attack down to the pedophilia shit that's going on. It's a literal fucking attack on the babies, like your future generations. It's not about you. It's not about like what the fuck you are doing. Like, if you're not thinking about, like the ancestors are talking about 7 generations from now, you're in your own little fucking world. Ain't nothing wrong with being in your own world and universe, by the way. You do whatever the fuck you want to do. But at the same time, don't be surprised when somebody else says, hey, you have a fucking responsibility to 7 generations from now. Why? Fuck, what you need to know. Why does it exist inside of your, do you feel that way? Like, I guess I can. Well, you'd feel more of a connection to that if you knew more about what the fuck was going on behind the scenes, instead of just accepting what the Wizard of Oz gave you. Like, the Wizard of Oz gave you, he didn't give like the Scarecrow a brain. He gave the Scarecrow a degree. Like, this is the whole thing. We don't really go into that shit. And then he tells him, like, now you're successful. Now you're one of us. It's better than having a brain. That's what the Wizard of Oz told. Having a degree is better than using your own fucking brain and connecting to this is the evolved version of who and what you are. But still, he's dead. He's just a scarecrow. He's just empty inside. He just filled him with the same shit he's already filled with, like that emptiness, that straw, all that in there. He just gave him another piece of paper to like put back in his jacket, like he had, like in the Wiz. Michael Jackson was pulling out all them little like quotes out of his hat. Like, he did. That's what the Wizard of Oz at the end gave him. If you like compare the two, he just gave him a degree, and then the other guy just gave him a medal. Like the lion, he gave him a medal. It's like, join. It's basically saying join the military. That's what. If you want courage, if you want to be a real man, join the military. And then like they have every base covered, every single fucking way you want, everything that you feel that comes naturally to you. Like, you have a sense of like communion or camaraderie. Like that's kind of that's a natural thing, and that goes into like what I was saying before in reference to the definitions. Like the definitions of our reality are given to us by the education system, so we don't even know like what like what the human nature is, for example. Like that's a good one. Like human nature is told to us by people like Joe Rogan. It's like who still believe in the monkey evolution theory. Is just like, oh yeah, well since we're these primitive things who just separated from the pack of other monkeys because we wanted to have stuff, like we wanted stuff, so we beat the shit out of other monkeys
Preach.
like 2001 Space Odyssey to have more stuff. That's literally what Joe Rogan said.
Yeah.
That is the attack on the peoples, the tree roots peoples. Like that's why I said there's a difference between tree roots and grassroots. At best, at in Joe Rogan's best moments, he's in the 90th percentile of talking about topics that are in reference to grassroots. He maxes out at that. He will never go into the tree roots that predate this Western empire today. He can't. He's literally designed. He's designed like they have these models who walk the runway and actresses and actors who are in TV and movie. Their facial structure, like Joe Rogan, like everything is a fucking design. Everything that Joe Rogan has been about, like Fear Factor, like he is the most American. He is like the manifestation of a bald eagle painted as an American flag. Like he is that fucking guy, and his weapon is the so-called education of the university system. It's this entire mind control program that has such a grip on the people that it has literally affected the way we we perceive our reality, our relationships, and how our lack of relationships or responsibility to the earth. And like I said, the 7 generations. This is happening. This shit is happening to the babies. It's not about wearing a fancy ass fucking dashiki or talking or going back to Africa, escaping again into the new age agenda or looking really cool somewhere. It ain't about you. It's about the fucking kids. So if we get trapped in like, oh well, this following and like I'm super smart in this avenue and this and that, like, well, all right, well, same thing goes for like flat earth, like in reference to, I come down hard on Mark and Patricia a lot of the times because they seem like the fakest motherfuckers I ever seen in my life. Like if I were to ever meet them or any of my other family members or ever meet them, like I guess they're nice, but that's what's fucking conquered the world, is nice people that are fucking burning the world down with a smile on their face. I'm like, how the fuck are you falling for this shit again? Like the biggest fucking lie that's out there. And literally, they're still not talking. 3 fucking years and still not getting into the human story. I got some questions about that, like, and I'm not saying whatever, like people gonna do whatever it is they're gonna do, but I'm gonna have questions about whatever I'm seeing, and that shit's obvious to me. If they're playing a role, like I said, these people in reference to like models, Victoria's Secret models, and like they literally they look for certain facial structures and certain, obviously with like the racism in Hollywood and politics and like the white Oscars and that whole thing. That's just an obvious like a macrocosm perspective of it. But in reference to like there's facial structures of thought is the whole point. Like you have models of thought that are existing as people, like Joe Rogan, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, Michio Kaku, and all these other assholes that are projected into your reality by the mainstream consciousness as like, they're like smacking you in the head with a hammer over and over and over again every time a new video or interview comes out with these pieces of shit talking about something else that's new. And there's a literal that's like in reference to, like, for people who don't know, like, or are still questioning that there's an actual attack on people who are talking about this. And obviously, we've have leaders been taken out these days. Like you can see on the other end, you see the trending page. That's an obvious war. That's an obvious weapon against the people. A trending page, the mainstream media, like that whole thing. So that a trending page on YouTube is another form of mainstream media. It's like another Fox News and CNN and MSNBC. It's just YouTube news. That's what it is. That's basically what the trending page is. And when you have that thing existing in a supposed open platform, you have the illusion of freedom. The same way that's what YouTube is, just a manifestation of the idea that Americans, United States of Americans, are fucking free. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's the dumbest shit that's out there. Like, to even say that. Yet you got people running around like painting American flags on their entire body. Like, the fuck? Do you know what that shit means? Like, or do you know what that represents? If people truly knew, and that goes back to the definitions thing again, that people don't know because they don't know how to know. They don't know how to feel. They've been overstimulated, hypersexualized, and completely blown out. It's kind of like when you burn your taste buds on your tongue. That's like a simple, but literally burning every taste bud of your basically all of your five senses, your consciousness, your relationships as a whole, like burning all of those taste buds to where you just need to put plastic in your stomach to feel full. Like, you don't actually need any nutrition or minerals. You just need stuff in your body. Like, keep putting stuff, just like Joe Rogan said with the whole monkey evolution thing. And this is a good loop back to what that exactly, like, that mentality is. It's just like, wake up every day, just get more stuff, and then tomorrow you're gonna get more stuff because you need more stuff. Okay, like the rules of this society is about having a lot of stuff, and like a lot of different comedians and other people talk about this over and over and over again. But it's cool to emphasize that because it really goes down to the essence of our relationship to this reality. Like, people like Joe Rogan are telling you to believe, like forcibly telling you to believe in the evolution from monkeys theory, the Big Bang theory, the gravity theory. In the world of psychological warfare and spiritual warfare and the physical warfare, that mentality, that attack, that those are huge weapons against not only us today but the future generations. Like I was mentioning before, this is why it's so important to address something like heliocentrism. And when people ask, like, why does it matter, why is it important? Well, if you don't, like, if you're asking that question, that represents another like layer of consciousness. Like that's just an example, a representation of like somebody's relationship to nature, like their relationship to thought, their relationship to critical thought. Like, okay, well, what does it what do you mean, what does it matter? Like, are you serious? Like, there's two obvious things that matter. First, you've been lied to by everything that is in that world. Secondly, of course it fucking matters. Like, where are you? Do you fucking matter? Like, does your body matter? Like, what? But that's how like empty we've been. And then when you empty that emptiness out of somebody else, they don't know what to do with it, so they usually attack you. That's what's actually happening. Or another way to explain it is that you show them that emptiness. It's just like, that's that response. That's what that response is. It's kind of like, well, what does it matter? Well, you just showed somebody their emptiness and they don't know what the fuck to do with it because they've been filled with plastic shit for so long. Like the stomachs of these whales that are just, like innocently swimming through their world that's called the fucking ocean, that we've just dumped all this shit in, and then they just fill their bodies with this plastic. It's the same fucking reflection, the same thing that's happening to the people. And then all these other boxes that are out, like, people are just running away and say, oh yeah,
Hey, so
generations. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Oh
Go
no,
ahead.
we can hear you. You had cut off for just a minute. Go ahead. You got it.
Okay. I'm glad I did get cut. You told me I got cut off because that reminded me of the whole YouTube thing. Like it's that freedom belief system that we have, and then we don't really see it as a weapon. Like that. That's their versions of weapons or their versions of freedom. Like what we're supposed to be proud of are actually weapons against us. So even what we think is part of our like egotistically, like we think we're like on YouTube and all that other shit. We're like, oh, we're like we're fighting like that whole Alex Jones sort of mentality. It's just like I'm fighting the fucking system, and then like the globalists and all that. It's a different relationship to what's really going on here than just asking questions about the reality and then like taking it a step further instead of wearing a cape. Like you just wear a cape. You can wear your new age cape or your black conscious cape or your flat earth cape or whatever fucking cape you wear. Like congratulations, but there's still work to do. There's still some shit that's going on, and we got some more questions to ask. Like, no, I like this cape, but I'm just gonna keep repeating this shit over and over and over again. But the point being, in reference to like YouTube and what we think is freedom and information and all this other shit is since that's a weapon and that's a known weapon and it's proven to be a weapon, we have to understand that if that's a weapon being against us, if we have like stuff on this channel, which is a lot of people are seeing these days, if you have YouTube stuff that's up there, you're going to be attacked. Like you're going to be pushed in a corner. I've seen like my subscribers have been like frozen pretty much. Like there was about 2 years ago, like right when I was about like approaching 1,000 subscribers, it was like every day I would post a video. Like when I started talking about getting in a good groove, I would have a consistent number of added subscribers. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then like based upon like what I was talking about. Now I'm literally seeing subscribers like in chunks of 20 within like 30 minutes disappear. And then like having like all kinds of different excuse me, just seeing when I post a video nowadays, it's it's not, I actually lose subscribers. Like I'll put it up there and it's not because the video's shit. Like there's likes on there. And they're seriously outnumbering the dislikes. It's probably like two or three or four at most, usually average, like two, maybe three, two and a half, something like that. So where's this whole thing? Point being is that there's literally an attack on like all of us, like what in the way we perceive our reality. Not like my channel is any kind of like, oh, big shit or whatever. It's just like it's obvious if it's happening to me, like in these little algorithms, because these little algorithms add up. In reference to point being, in reference to the whole trending page, there's a literal attack against like thought. Like I said, it's not just, it's like anti-thought. So like back in the day, you had like people thinking for themselves and like talking about the system and like bringing it.
Yep.
Then enters in COINTELPRO, and then you had like the 90s or 80s and the 90s where people were just like content with entertainment and content with like just like things not being really terrible, and then not realizing in comparison to how fucked up it was before, because it's still extremely terrible, but the TV told you it's not terrible anymore, and then people believe that shit. So
Yep.
like the other side of that consciousness is the anti-thought, the anti questioning. That is the attack. That's where the whole like Nazi sort of mentality is existing outside and including the racist stuff and all these agendas that are out there. It's all of this shit that's adding up to like this attack against our understanding, overstanding, and understanding of what the fuck is going on. The three-tier chess game of your soul, your mind, and your body. We get lost in one version of the chess game, which is just asking questions of your reality and saying, oh well, this is it, this is it, and then beyond that, people are stuck in the checker game of like listening to who's telling them what's going on. It's all
Yeah.
about like who, TYT or Alex Jones. That's where you get your information
And
from.
oh
Or
man, these are like the big. I'm glad you hitting on them because earlier when you was talking about like censorship and the trending list, it's impossible to beat everything that's gonna be trending for the mainstream. See, that's the thing. Like he was saying, you ain't got no power for real with YouTube. If you look at the communities, the growth of these communities versus a gaming community or like a freestyle battling community is laughable. Like that's why Sutter keeps saying it's so much work to do. And you look around and see people having award shows and conferences like we've just completed this shit. Like, yo guys, you know, like you feel me? I feel you, bro.
yeah, but that's the design. I mean, Sonetter's award show was like the Flat Earth Conference award show. It's the same shit. It's the same fucking shit.
Same.
It's one community's thing. They're just
Yeah.
jerking each other off. Just like, good
Yeah.
job, you did it. Like,
Yeah.
here's some lotion. Here's a fucking trophy. Like, good job. Go tell other people to fucking jerk other people off. Like,
And you know what?
right.
You know what's crazy? And why they jerk each other off, right? We ain't dealing with the real issues. Cause think about it. I can pull up the website right now. I hope the people don't make me pull it up. I don't want to do it to them. If you look at the categories for that award show, it's like longest dashiki, best conspiracy theorist.
Are you serious?
No, I'm just joking now, but it might well be though because
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of pseudoscience and mundane award that it's crazy because you don't got no award like biggest abortion clinic protest. You know, like because we say Black Lives Matter, you know, we got to change the community, but we know one of the number one causes of death is abortion. Ain't none of them got no abortion videos on their channel done an abortion protest. Ain't none of them. I'm just saying that's just one argument. That's one aspect. But all awards is niggas that's arguing about monkey theories and aliens and none of the shit that's really fucking us up day to day. You know what I'm saying? So it is really deep, brother. It is, man.
And that's that. Since that's the norm, that's the social norm, that's what we're getting subconsciously from the existence of the mainstream media. We get caught up in what the mainstream media is doing to us. We don't a lot of the times we don't analyze why it was invented, like how it exists in our reality. Like why was it invented in the first place, and how is it affecting us like on every layer? Like what if it didn't exist? Like what if, like how, what kind of questions will we be asking? Like same thing goes for these communities too. A lot of these communities, if you can't do whatever it is that you're doing like internally, then there's still more work for you to be doing. So you need a lot of this external shit. Not to say that the external is bad, but just in the sense of like the infotainment that a lot of this shit has turned into. Like the infotainment, that's some extra ass shit. Yes, it might wake some people up or, you know, trigger some people to go here and there, but it's just kind of like you made a business out of it. Is that it? Like, is that it? Like they made a business out of kind of, in many ways, a lot of these circles and so-called communities made a business out of commercials. They made a business out of the introduction to like what's going on. Like there it's just like we're in the waiting room. People are making YouTube videos and movies and all this shit in the waiting room and not really even opening the door or any of the, or realizing that we're in a waiting room, but just, you know, constantly being content with the knowing, supposed knowing, being woke. And that's the whole thing. That's
Yo, that
the wokeness, it's just like InfoWars is the Republican or the good old American boys version of being woke. And then like the same shit, you got that's a crew, that's a club, you know, that's just like the cops are a gang. And then they say that's a gang. And then you have the gang of consciousness and like that's the new age gang, and then you got the black conscious gang, and then all these people just sitting around just being like, yo, this is my gang, son. Like, what the fuck? Like, I got all the answers. You want some of this? Come over here. I got this. I got you. And then you get in there like, ooh, that shit is good. Ooh, god damn. Let me get some more of that. Like, ooh, another. Let me get a channeling. Ooh, yeah, Bashar and Cryon, and then and then you got the United Nations, and the system is like, look at these motherfuckers, they eating this shit up. They love this space alien shit. Good, they're like high-fiving each other, like there's some good. They're gonna believe all this shit we talking about in a little bit. So like they just prep all of these people. The point is, in reference to all this, once you're trapped in that waiting room, when the doctor shows up, when the wizard comes from behind the curtain and starts giving the scarecrow his brain, his degree, and starts giving the cowardly lion his courage, and starts giving the Tin Man his heart or his metal, and then starts sending people home, then you're gonna think everything's fixed, because subconsciously the Wizard of Oz still exists in your reality. And then with that, since that story already exists in your reality, it's familiar to your consciousness. So it's like a docking station for mind control. This is what the mainstream media, the education system is. It's a docking station, and your illusion of freedom is you grabbing that fruit off that tree and installing that piece, that thing that Joe Rogan tells you to fill yourself up with, just like get a bunch of fucking stuff, and you put it into the subconscious docking station that has been pre-positioned for you, and you didn't even fucking know it. You didn't know it because it existed in the subconscious that you blocked yourself out from. You don't dream anymore. You're disconnected from the ancestors. You've totally bought into this mainstream normality frame of consciousness that is actually counter to the natural processes of this reality. And I was mentioning earlier in reference to why is there so much, positive pushing towards the transgender story that's out there, and that whole like relationship, and it matches perfectly with the Big Bang Theory, and just like just a total not even giving a fuck about like any kind of natural definitions or interpretations of this reality, and just accepting the side effects to what is accepted as normal. So lynching was normal in society, like and legal, by the way, and like racism and like all this shit. This was normal, and to many people, since it became abnormal after the so-called civil rights, they think they're the fucking victims now because they don't have slaves. Like subconsciously, this shit still exists. Subconsciously, like people are still thinking they're the victims because things are not the way they used to be when America was supposedly great. And since it's been televised as the greatest, the evolutionary peak of humanity in the entire like earth plane, like this is the only way to be. And if you say anything counter to this is the first world, bitch. That's like saying I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch, and this is the first world, bitch. You just got some third world country ass thinking you're on a flat earth. You're just about the dumbest motherfucker out there. Well, look at my degree, bitch. Look at my vest, bitch. Like that's what's going on. People are we've been punked out of consciousness. Like we've been punked out of our relationship to our ancestors. We've been punked out of all of this. And the best we can do is be a part of some simple ass, easy gang. Like a simple community or simple this. And then we're content with that. And we think that's the answer because that's subconsciously what we're being programmed to believe. It's just like, be content with the entertainment, be content with the cape of being woke, but don't actually fly. Don't actually get off the ground. Just wear the fucking cape. Fuck that.
Hey, let me say something, bro. You going to fuck in, and I'm gonna tell you why right now. It goes back to this, right? Everything can be summed up when you think of stuff like this, right? It's a lot of bright children out there, smart and shit. You know, whether they flat earthers or not, whether they with the, I'm just speaking in general now. Just think about all the young bright minds out there, innocent minds, right? These young bright innocent minds. Hold on a minute. I'm finna give y'all some shit real quick. Hold up, my bad. Let me shut my door. My bad. I had a little noise out there, but think about this, right? I was just thinking about this shit like the people who get put on a pedestal in our society when you sit back and think about it, it be the motherfuckers who got the most money who don't even got the degrees. The folks who didn't even go to high school. Like you got motherfuckers who never been to middle school in Africa who own land, diamond mines, and they know how to motherfucking you know what I'm saying, operate. I'm just saying, like, you got people in this land who was fucking drug dealers and shit, and now they got millions and millions of dollars. And then they business. Think of somebody like Jay-Z, right? We know he come from the streets of Brooklyn as a drug dealer. But when you look at him today, he's a suit and tie, resell. See, the whole thing is selling this American dream, but it's really a nightmare. And for your young blacks, it's like you can excel in this land, but since you in the hood, you might have to take some chances, like sell dope, but eventually you can buy a business with the dope money. Or eventually, you can start a record label with the dope money. But the nightmare of this dream is you never gonna reach the end part because your ass gonna be locked up before you ever do what Jay-Z rapping about. Like, niggas think that, yeah, I can flip me a bird like Jay-Z, take that money, start a business, and be like Jigga, walking around with Warren Buffett, having champagne. They want to sell y'all that. That's an illusion that they want to put out there like a commercial, and they subconsciously teaching you that, this is it. And everybody that get rewarded in this country is the motherfucking people who really are the damn crooks. Like, think about it. This country built from crooks. So it makes sense that, like, your drug dealers, your rappers, your fucking Monsantos, all of these folks are your multimillionaires and shit, your cartels. And the deep thing about it is, for you to get that kind of money, they don't want you thinking on their level. Let me tell you something about the dope game. The man who got the plug don't want every man in his camp to know that the plug connection. Because if the niggas around him get the connection to the plug, they don't need him no more. So the only reason he in power is by him keeping that connect with the plug, and everybody around him, listen, I'm the man, like, you know how it go. So the trick is this. On the same level, the plug in this society is just you can be rich by the most dumbest motherfucker gonna get the richest. Just think about it. You got people like Tekashi 6ix9ine, no pun intended. You got all of these little knucklehead rappers, young cats. I ain't shitting on them, but it is what it is. These guys got more money than your great granddad or great grandma will ever have, and they work their ass off. My great granddad built houses from the ground up in his community. He was in a newspaper. He didn't stop building houses till after he was 90. My granddaddy was riding around in dump trucks in his 80s, still working, y'all. He in a newspaper, George Smith. I'm gonna share some of that in the future. But anyway, these folks, and you'll never hear about this kind of greatness. They'll never be millionaires. Most of them will die. Set like my granddaddy died, for example, and he had to get rid of like 5, 6 dump trucks and shit. This expensive equipment. We talking about the real dump truck. The city bought his land, all of that, because all of the grandsons didn't know the value of it. we went off to the military and all this shit. We didn't understand what we had right there. And the only thing I'm telling you is like they dumbed us down so much that now we wake up and realize, damn, we dumb. Like we going think about what I'm saying, right? They got motherfuckers on land. It's a little rapper in his 20s who don't give a fuck about nothing for real, but he on land. Now the motherfucker who would take and capitalize off that land and really be a threat to the powers will never get there because they got an invisible system in play where they only gonna promote the ignorant. The ignorant, they can give $50 million to an ignorant motherfucker, and they know he ain't gonna do nothing but buy chains and cars and stun on motherfucker. They know he ain't no threat, but they wouldn't give a certain motherfucker 100,000. Listen, just 100,000 in one motherfucker hand will be a threat. Where they can give us this little knucklehead 100 million and know that he ain't gonna do nothing but buy 10 million pair of shoes and wear one each day because he don't want you to see him with the same pair on twice. And it's so stupid because the people they reward are these type people that's gonna take the money and re-promote consumerism, re-dumb you down. Think about it. One of the top YouTubers in our time was Glozell Green, subtle. She got to meet the president. And if I'm just, you see what I'm saying?
It's the promoting of the emptiness, and like I said, it's the anti of fullness. Like it's both. See, we get a lot of the times in a lot of some of these communities, we get caught up in just not being anti knowledge, and then we forget that there's an actual growing thing, like a machine that is literally going against us, that is on many different fronts. And on why we believe it's real a lot of the times is because they humanize it, or the system humanizes itself through the ignorant people. It brings it to life to make other people more ignorant because they've amplified the ignorance. So they've said this is what successful is. Like this is what you're supposed to be like. This is that, and then that's those people. That's this. It's the same story of cowboys and Indians, and the primitive and savage, and the evolved consciousness of the colonizers. It's the same story, just in an updated version. And since we have the American way now, it's the United States, that whole, we have people from all over the world, it has to be very complex, and as it gets more complex it becomes more believable. And it's more, the system used the United States of America to represent the introduction to the New World Order. They use that to unify, to say, oh yeah, well, look, the example of the world is found in the United States. Look how everybody is living together from all over the world and being successful, but you're being successful in a dead, zombified, empty ash reality. So you become more successful when you become more empty. Like you go further in that system of normality. You become further. The more normal you are, basically, the more the less natural in the macro scale, like the next like generally, the more normal you are in that society, the less natural you are in reference to your particular balances and cycles of nature, like in time. Like, what is this? I say cycles in reference because we still don't understand what time really is. And if you slow down a movie reel, you can see each picture flick, 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 creating a movie. Well, who's to say the same thing's not happening? Like, that's what's happening outside of time when you're generating a thought or creating a relationship, or just like living, like perceiving. Like, there's constantly flickers. There's like an information highway that's going on. It's basically how I explain it a lot of the times. It's kind of like the way you perceive or can interpret dreams or relate the information that you have with dreams, with what's going on, or even be able to perceive dreams, and then take it a step even further into lucid dreams, and then becoming active in lucid dreams, like to become aware in a lucid dream, and like learn about the dream world. Like if you're lucid, like when I was a kid, when I became lucid in a dream, the only thing I gave a fuck about was flying. But now flying is cool. I guess I can fly. I live fucking tight. I love that shit. But there's more. I'm on my daily basis as a kid. That's all I wanted to do. I was just wanted to fly. So, and that's why there was a lot of falling dreams that happened when I was a kid. I got to a point because I was pushing like the realities of flying, and then literally you're like being beat down in order to push yourself and challenge yourself. So, in reference to like what the dream that we're being told, it has the same effect on us. We're having this counterproductive dream that's affecting our relationship with our subconscious reality, and we're missing out on the information that comes from that relationship. We're missing out on the ability to actually move somewhere because we were told we didn't have to move in consciousness, because we've replaced that responsibility with the idea of success, the idea of protecting this plastic version of what we call freedom. But it's obviously enslavement. So in reference to somebody who said in the chat earlier, so like what are the solutions? Like what is the solution? I don't claim to have any the answers, or if there are the answers or anything. All I know is that there's healing that needs to be done. And from my own example to myself, when I was healing myself, I came to my own conclusions. I started generating and developing my own a deeper awareness of what was going on in the act of healing. So as we are healing, like where people get lost, we have this microwave mentality. It's like you haven't even healed. You're literally bleeding out. You're bleeding out and you're bleeding in. You have internal bleeding and external bleeding, and you're sitting here asking me what kind of happy meal you want to get after you leave the hospital. You haven't even got out of the fucking hospital yet. Like on the micro scale and the macro scale, we have to do that in order to understand, understand and overstand what it is we could do. Because if we start developing solutions and like answers from this level of consciousness that's still sick and diseased in many different ways, then whatever our solutions that will come about will be a reflection of that consciousness, which is what and limited, point being limited by that consciousness. This is why the mainstream media exists. This is why the university system exists. This is why the colonial sort of like Western evolutionary peak of like this prideful pedestal, this empire of intellect exists, because you stop growing and you stop thinking and you stop questioning and you stop going anywhere other than where you've been told to go, because that's where your freedom is, that's where your intellect is, that's where you're going to be successful. You just have to be like um just Cash Me Outside girl, or the Beyonce, or just like be like these beauty gurus, or at best be a gym rat, just go to the gym just only focus on the physical. So that's just like this is what the whole Joe Rogan thing like goes back to, is just a manifestation. Building yourself up physically and not building yourself up intellectually and spiritually is just the same example of what Joe Rogan was talking about just monkeys evolved to getting more stuff, and then they just wanted to have more stuff away from the other monkeys who were just living in their primitive little fucking groups of dumbasses, dumb primitive fucking things. We're the ones who escaped from that bullshit, and
Yep.
we beat the shit out of everything, and then we're successful fucking monkeys. So
Oh my
everybody
god.
should
Shit.
listen to the successful monkeys and repeat what they say and do what they did, and that is your definition of humanity. to be a successful fucking monkey and then just and die. That's it. That's all you have to do. And then once you break that, that's when I'm saying you start to realize that there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. There's a lot of work that needs to be done before we start to generate any solutions or like what, oh, this is see, healing is a fucking solution. That if you really need something to start healing, it could take decades, it could take centuries for us to do whatever it is we don't even know we have to do. We don't even know what it is we have to do. We're still trying to not do what we've been told to do that's been working against us in every single way. So we don't even know what we could potentially do until we start questioning what it is that we're doing that counteracts our own maximum potential. Like we won't even know that exists until we start to heal these wounds. And one of the main things that happens that keeps us from doing that is the escape victim, the victim and the escape mechanism. So you have people who are reacting to the world of white supremacy and just holding like that victim space. Not to say that there's anything wrong with them. I'm saying there's a process of getting to where it is that you're going, and that like processing that victimized interpretation of reality is another form of healing. So but my point is, if you stay there and don't challenge yourself to go beyond the reactionary programs of the system, then you're just creating another universe, another false universe that's no different than the false universe that generated that persecution in the first place. You've just made a more comfortable asylum. You made a more comfortable like box for yourself. And then since it's not filled with all the other shit that you used to be filled with, you think you're a different person. You think you're an evolved everything. You think you got all the answers. And then that you just stay there forever. And it's just another form of the American dream. It's like instead of, getting a fancy car and a white picket fence, you go out to the jungle and say, you know everything in the universe. And it's the same fucking mentality that is going on when we see going into the American dream is another form of escaping your responsibility to the ancestors and that storyline. Like that's another form of escaping. A lot of the times we don't realize it is existing that way because we've accepted the world of normal as evolved. We've accepted the world of normal as more important and more intelligent and more connected and more real than the world that is natural. And once you do that, you are literally living in another universe, and you will start to deteriorate in every frame of how you exist during that experience, because obviously your soul is going to be tight as fuck. It's just going to be cool, whatever. You're in an experience, but within the experience, you have potential. You could shit it all away by thinking you're a superhero and wear a cape all day, or just shit it all away to ignorance, or shit it all away to following somebody else, or shit it all away to whatever else is put out there for you to believe that you're king shit, whatever it is.
But you know what's crazy?
You can humble yourself and then come back. Go ahead.
No, you know what? When I hear you speak, a lot of shit be going through my mind because you be digging deep. But I'm gonna just plug this in. I'm gonna pass the mic right back to you. You was saying something earlier that made me think about this. Really, when you think about it, they done reduced like change or progression down to just changing your outfit. Because think about it, like a lot of these groups and communities, what come along with that reprogramming that you speak of is a different costume that they wear now too. And it's deep now that I think about it, because a lot of them tribes put on masks and they go into a spiritual identity when they go and do their spirituality. And when I look at us over here today in these countries, communities, with like one group got on these kind of hats, one group got the dashikis, one group, they debate each other, but it's like what come along with this new way of thinking is an outfit, a new way of dressing. Like for example, if you're a Hebrew Israelite, they dress different than a Moor and shit like that. But what I was thinking about is like that's called an outfit. But before you get the outfit, you get the infit. And that's what I was thinking about when you was talking. Like, we never talk about the infit before they put on that different costume to express who they are on the outside. They undergo a series of extensive reprogramming and reindoctrination, because it's like you said earlier, they know the human mind gonna eventually break their little cheap ass magic spell. So they got another greater game for you waiting. If you think you smart and you want to know some shit, okay, come over here and put this costume on, and now we gonna talk about aliens, motherfucker. And it's like, the smarter you think you getting, the more they laugh at you. The more you say, I'm waking up, the more pseudoscience you get, in just another costume where they laugh at you even more. You know, and it's so deep, bro. Go in, cause you going in for real.
It's the same way, like the same effect that a lot of these circles have is that, like, I've been studying the new age sort of weapon against the people for a while, from that perspective, the new age as a weapon against the people for a while. And I've been seeing like how what happens to the people, because that's the effect of the weapon is what matters. It's not really what the weapon is, it's the effect of the weapon on the people. And it's not just one effect, there's many effects that happen with all of these weapons. It affects us on a micro scale, a macro scale, a conscious, a subconscious, a masculine, a feminine, intellectually, spiritually, physically. Like, all of these are being attacked in various ways. And that weapon, one of the main things that happens is that we become docile when we get into these, trapped into these circles or these groups, no different than the mainstream media does to us. We become, this is what Stephen Colbert represents, and like all these late night talk shows represent. They represent the dumbing down, but even beyond that, the desensitizing, and even beyond that, the docile nature that happens, to where you will never address the system because you think the system is fixing itself, that it has it has these people in there, the same way like religious, some religious factions, you just give everything away to whatever kind of deity they've pasted all. Jesus is gonna come save everything. Like, they argue, you don't, that the point being is that you don't have to be responsible for anything, because your sins are taken care of. And sometime in the future, just like sometime in the future we're gonna go back to the moon, or we're gonna go to Mars, sometime in the future Jesus is gonna come and start fucking shit up. Like, watch, he's gonna start doing, like, so, like, just sit back and wait for that show. And then you have people who aren't going to follow that. They're going to follow Alex Jones, who was just saying the same thing. His Jesus is, make America great again, or something like that. And like defeating the globalists. And they'll get their Jesus. Like, these various circles, they have a version of like whatever it is that they're trying to get. Like, they want something. And that goes back into what I was saying in reference to the goals. Like what our goals really are. Like, what are you really like feeling like personally? Like, what are you like? What are your dreams? It's basically what are your dreams in reference to what you were doing? Like, if you were to not wake up tomorrow, like, would you be content with what you did today, and everything in reference to your thoughts and your relationships? Like, are you in that space? Okay, so, like, what's a part of that responsibility when you wake up tomorrow? Like, what's a part of that when you wake up the day after that? And then what's to expand it even further to the seven generations of of the children, so even further and further and further. So, like, this is when you do that, you realize that you have to find your own happy medium, and your happy medium doesn't even exist, because we're so out of balance in the norm, like, generally speaking, we're so out of balance in the mainstream sort of normal society, that anything that is, like, in reference to the quote from Dr. John Henrik Clarke, who said that if your history starts at slavery, then anything after slavery will be progress. So that's why the mainstream media and the late night talk shows exist. Like, in reference to another example is like Trump. Like, if your history, or if your reality starts at Trump, then anything is going to be progress. And that's the game of the president. So like progress, what's considered progress in this world of normal in the mainstream media is being literally like so now what's being cool, they talk about how bullies are bad, but their response to the bully is to be a bully, but like it's the same thing, like, and that's the best you can do, like that's the way you're supposed to approach this reality. I mean, that's basically what politics is. It's just like who's going to financially and like um psychologically be the best bully to win win the game. And then people are going to follow that, and then subconsciously we play this out every day in our own relationships, in our own perceptions of reality. And then when we see that as the evolutionary peak of our existence being played out as a so-called first world country in this normal consciousness, you see how the layers of that go into the depths. As deep as it goes, we wear all that shit, we accept all that shit. So like in reference to the quote that I just said, that if all of this shit is fucked up and you're like deeply aware of this, like in reference to the information, the complexities of this, you're aware of this, the more intricate the storyline becomes, the more content you will be with the level of normal that you've accepted. So you just accept a lot of this shit that is like, well, and that's even if you're aware of it in reference to acceptance, because beyond that is the entire world of the mainstream, which is not even aware. It doesn't even give a shit about, it doesn't even know how to spell, like awareness or consciousness or whatever, because they don't need to know how to spell. They don't know what language. They just need to regurgitate what Stephen Colbert, John Oliver, or Bill Maher said. Like whatever they said, or their pick any number of musician, pick any number of celebrity, pick any number. This is the illusion of freedom. That's what these people represent. They represent your idea of freedom. And then since they made it, they're successful, then they are the manifestation of the so-called truth that your freedom is real, because they made it. And they have to project those people in your face over and over and over again, just like constantly, like, they made it, they made it, they made it, you can make it, you'll never fucking make it. But they made it, you can make it, you can make it, you can make it, you'll never fucking make it, you'll make it, you can make it. And then it's just like, in the end of the day, you're fucking dead. Like, it's your whole life is gone. You have no more, like, you have no energy. And that's what they're banking on. That's what this parasite, in reference to it's the parasite of time, like within time, with this version of conscious physical material reality. It's the idea and the relationship of that we have with time, and the way that we relate to time is what allows this parasite to have more room to exist, because we have more gaps in our reality. A lot of the ancestors called they've called some, like, a perspective of this kind of is not completely this, the Wetiko virus, for people who are not aware of that. I've done some videos on my channel that go into the Wetiko sort of thing, because it's not a real thing. Like, if you call it, if you say it's a thing, then it's a thing, but it's not really. It's a but it's from observing it, you can see that it's a real thing that exists as a virus or a parasite in the consciousness of our reality. And when it gets so bad, it manifests into literally like what Joe Rogan was talking about, as far as we just evolved from fucking monkeys, dude, and we just beat the shit out of fucking everything else. That's just like, we wanted stuff, and then we were willing to kill all these people to have our stuff, and then we made it. Like, that's like a living, breathing Waitiko. Like, I'm not gonna finish that statement because it's so much more complex than that. But you see what I'm saying in reference to it being a parasite, being a virus, being something that has been um, it's been spoken about, it's been seen, it's been written about, it's been observed by, like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of this shit exists already. And the more angles of approach that we have towards realizing these sicknesses and diseases, the easier it will be to, and the more timely and efficient it will be to heal ourselves, and to heal ourselves on the micro scale and the macro scale. But we first got to get through all the bullshit that's out there. And one of the main things that I'm seeing is one of the biggest bullshitting networks it is this tendency of us to just just be sucked into one frame of consciousness and just repeat it, and then consider that that's the end, that's all we have to do. It's like, well, that's it's in reference to people who are bleeding out, who are being shot, who are bleeding out literally and figuratively or metaphorically, and being choked out, and like really in every facet of how you can perceive that. We don't have time. We never had time. You already had brothers and sisters and cousins and mothers and grandfathers and family all over the world that's been taken out. You don't have time anymore. Your time tomorrow is not promised. So if you're just fiddling around breathing in this good ass prana every day and just that's it, then all right, cool, good on you. But there's something else that I know a lot of other people will be looking at you like, what the fuck is this motherfucker talking about? Breathing in that good ass prana. Get the fuck out of here with this shit, man. What the fuck is it? But like, just like all these other empty ass people are promoted, you have fake full people that are being promoted too. So you have emptiness and ignorance that's being promoted, but you have conscious ignorance that's also being promoted. These algorithms are built into the fucking YouTube, Google program, no different than the algorithms of Facebook. They are meant to make you the proof of this is the trending page. And if they have a positive of something they want you to look at, then you best be damn sure that they got something that they don't want you to look at. And that goes for like what you think positively is like when they had that dude from Black Lives Matter on the Stephen Colbert show. If you didn't know in that moment that entire so-called movement was generated and funded and it is a part of the mind control program, then I don't know what else to say. I probably just won't even like engage in a conversation with what the fuck is going on. I'll let you know, like, hey, this is something you might want to look at, but I'm not really gonna try that. That shit's on you. You have to like figure that shit for yourself, because there comes a point in time where you can't be sitting around taking people's shit. Like, you're not responsible for other people's growth and what they're going on. And a lot of what happens as a side effect on this YouTube shit is that people get lazy and they want the world they since the education system just taught them how to think and how to interact, and it's really based upon emptiness. You have these weak ass like man children and woman children too, who are the same, that just grown ass fucking children thinking that they know every damn thing, and then you can spend hundreds of hours about talking about something, and one little fucking thing that you in one little fucking thread, these little motherfuckers come like tugging at that one little thread. It's like that thread's been fucking mentioned many other times. It's not my responsibility to tell you that you pulling on somebody else's thread. That's your responsibility. You need to like sew something with that shit. That's already, and in that same moment, to be completely like on the other side, it's also kind of like, all right, well, how could you learn from that experience? This person's tugging on this. How could I learn from that? Like, I'm part of that too. And then once you realize that that's another language too, just as a little side note. But yeah. I'm drinking. I gotta drink some water.
But hey, bro, it's crazy, right? When you talk about the conscious community, you gotta think about, we talk about infiltration too, right? So think about this. Joe Rogan is actually part of the conscious community. Do we ever think about that? Like his YouTube, his type of content would go along the lines of science and technology, news and politics. And he would be considered one of the channels that go into conspiracy theories. Unfortunately, that is part of the conscious community today, even though we know we've been conspired upon and it ain't no motherfucking theory. You know what I'm saying? Like, but when you think about Joe Rogan is a person that basically reinforces the same programming that we rised up. Think about it. We go through the education system. We learn all this shit. Then we say, "Hold up, I'm getting my consciousness back. I'm going through an awakening." We start challenging that system, and think about it. The people who they say challenging that system, once you go into that arena, the motherfucking levels of deceit are infinite. Because listen, in fact, a person that's brought up in like Christianity, Islam, or something like that, you say they brainwashed, but they actually vibrating high. They would be more enlightened than a person who would be Afrocentric, or a person who would be Anunnaki centered, or hey man, our ancestors was aliens that come from Sirius B. You know, that person right there ain't no different than the person believing that a dude walked on water. Only thing I'm saying is, like, when you think about this shit, right? And I'm losing my train of thought, so I want to go ahead. I want to make a point, right? And I guess the point that I'm trying to make is we talking about truth. Is part of truth, gaining truth, is not really receiving new information. It's undoing the misinformation that got you from seeing the truth that's already in you. So that's one of the big mistakes. Like, people think when you find the truth, I'm gonna get all of this new information. No, when you find the truth, you lose a bunch of misinformation. And you see that the truth was already just the normal, natural, simple ass questions in your mind. Like the God of the Bible, for example. He had his own army. He condoned slavery. Some of you was smart enough to question that and say, well, damn, yeah. And you went on higher. Then you got caught up in alien stories, pyramid, all this shit, and you thought you was free when really it's like they got this shit designed to where if you break that first barrier, you ain't never gonna get out of that second snare. Because a lot of people they come from Islam, Christianity, and they go to like Hermeticism or Hermeticism or some kind of ism, and they die in that because they realize now I'm truly enlightened, when really no, it's just another form of the same shit. And you ain't free till you get out of all the isms, you know.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to add to we were saying earlier in reference to how Joe Rogan is a part of the conscious, like he can be easily connected to like whatever that community is, uh, label is. He's interviewing people like Graham Hancock, has done like TED Talks and talk about psychedelics, and obviously Alex Jones and even Eddie Bravo and stuff like that. But my point, I was just thinking as we were talking, like you said that he's like part of the conscious community. He's an actual soldier. Like he's a soldier in this spiritual warfare. He's like a like some kind of, I want to say not general. He's like some kind of major or lieutenant or something like that's out there in reference to these. If you want to kind of like make it, I was like turning it into like a literal sort of militaristic sort of approach, because we can start making moves from that perspective because those moves are being made against us. I mean, we're already doing it in our own way. Point being is that there comes a power from making moves that are within a certain amount of time and within a very kind of like strategic, and in reference to like right now, flat earth is like a shotgun blast. where you can get into like a sharpshooter sort of approach, and there's everything in between that, including like your approach to this spiritual warfare, psychological warfare, physical warfare, um, and how all these communities, in order to start getting people on one page, we all know, like we all have our approach on like chemtrails and fluoridated water and all this other stuff. There's a lot of us who know about this stuff, but we don't really like we don't really focus our energy in any particular like thing on any particular time. I've noticed that we could do in like as far as like a caliber or a is it calibrated or an like basically an attack on these, not like a real attack, but just kind of like a conscious attack in reference to time and strategic, like logistically approaching like an individual. Like this dude is a lieutenant, this dude is a colonel. All of these people who are making all these videos and have all these subscribers, with all the networking that we have, we can make like we can do like we can make like a Joe Rogan day. I mean, you got like Easter and like all this stuff. We can make a Joe Rogan day in like next month or a couple of weeks from now or whatever, and then everybody will make this big like a tight ass their most dialed in video that exposes this like this soldier that's against whatever, however you see this individual as against like this, how they exist in the conscious warfare, pretty much just exposing that. And then your example like all at one time, so make it like a whole thing that exists, and it doesn't have to be long. It'd be like a minute, a few seconds. People are going to do it for like an hour or whatever like that. Point being is that the act of making it a sort of thing, and putting it in a particular time frame, and then like networking it, and doing it a whole thing, it will create a sort of it'll create another thing that I haven't seen really exist, other than like I guess when like some of the flat earthers were doing like chat room bombs or something like that. They were going into the chat room and just like talking flat earth on a lot of these gaming networks and stuff like that. But this is in reference to the system itself, and in not just in chat rooms, but in videos and on social media itself. Make it a whole fucking thing, and it doesn't have to be. It can be like Neil deGrasse Tyson. This day we're gonna fuck Neil deGrasse Tyson up. Like in this day we're gonna fuck Joe Rogan up. Like all these different channels is in order to start really, because this is the thing, we when we get comfortable in our little bubbles, we mention a lot of these people, we agree on a lot of this shit, but we don't really like come together like
Hey, Subtle, let me cut in for a minute. I got to. You just said some real deep shit. You saying that we come together in these community in numbers and bomb the big channels that matter, right? Hey man, I just had to verify that. Yo, that's coming. I'm with that. In fact, man, you gonna have to talk about that. We're gonna redo the chat raids. Right? In fact, I got a couple. Let me just go and say this real quick. I got my brother Infinite Plane Society coming on for the a show in the future too. Now I don't want people to start talking shit and all that. Listen, like I said, I'm just networking with everybody, man. Look, I don't got nothing against nobody, and I'm just trying to, network with everybody. But man, Subtle go back day one with this shit. But what I'm talking about with him is that he got a list of shit he want to talk to on a future show. It's gonna be real interesting. But besides that, the chat raids, he got some chats that they very familiar with that. And like you said, if all of these channels just pick a day, like you said, like Joe Rogan Day or this person day, bro, that'll be a big presence with all them thousands of people in the chat room putting like flat earth facts and all that. That'll be major, and that'll be more impact than like a flat Earth conference where you got to pay like $500 and all that. All you gotta do is go on the same internet you go on and listen to these folks, and make the same impact, power, and numbers free of charge. Getting these folks shit when they lie, they can't deny it. And listen, that'll be a bigger impact than all the conferences and shit. I think, bro, that was brilliant what you said.
Yeah, just a whole either live or even just videos. But the point is, it's the network is what matters because you're making a big ass wave. See, we have all this potential with all these people and connection and information, but we don't never channel that into like a focused sort of approach because we got our own shit. This is our own style over here, and then you don't even have to be really cool with whoever's over there. They could just do it just because it ain't about who's in there. It's just about like, no, we all agree, man, fuck this dude, man, fuck all these motherfuckers who are out there who are, slinging this shit at us every day. I mean, every day you got a Stephen Colbert. I mean, it's the same shit. The late night talk shows, they are literal soldiers against. See it from a spiritual, psychological, and a physical warfare perspective. You can see the soldiers who are out there. You have Michael Moore is another soldier for a limited consciousness that ultimately has an intent to promote ignorance. Like Alex Jones is an obvious of ignorance, talking about like make America great again, Trump and all that. It's obviously, but we don't they're like, and a lot of us all think about this, but another opportunity that we can have, like another weapon that we could use to counteract the weapons that are hitting us every single day. And it'll be, like you said, it'll be an open channel. People even aware of this shit a lot of the time, and they're like, what the fuck, a Joe Rogan day? Like, literally, I mean, they're promoted. It's basically just doing the opposite of what they're doing to us today. Every day we are told Joe Rogan is amazing. Every day we're told Stephen Colbert in the world of the mainstream reality is amazing. So we are constantly being triggered and manipulated to think, act, and feel that way, and have an overstanding, and understanding from those limited perspectives, and never go anywhere beyond that. So why don't we just do like a sharpshooter approach in reference to, obviously not physically, not in that space. I'm talking about like consciously. Like this, get all of these channels. They don't have to go anywhere or do anything. You can do live streams or whatever in that, but make it a thing. Like, fuck Joe Rogan on this day, man. That's a holiday. If you want to ask me, fuck Neil deGrasse Tyson is a fucking holiday. Like that, like all these fake ass things make some holidays of this shit. Like, make some real shit and then put some fire behind it. And then once you start doing that, then I don't know what the hell can spawn off from that. But the point is, like, put these motherfuckers on blast because they are soldiers against the people who have already died. They're soldiers against the well-being of our future, and then like the soldiers against of our own health and well-being of our present. Like everything, every layer, they're being, whether they know it or not, is of no never mind, because they are being used. Just like a lot of these athletes, when you hear their interviews, they're just the most jar-headed ass motherfuckers out there. They have nothing to fill their reality with. They don't have any opinions on anything. Their opinions are only about the ball, only about, the albums, the movies. It's only about the politics. Those are those different versions of ball. And then the same thing goes in, they just work on those muscles. They just pump up those muscles, and then society says, ooh, you got nice muscles or big balls, basically. Like, oh, you got some big balls, like in the music industry or in the movie industry or in like social media.
And I'm glad you touching on that, because that's the whole thing now. What they got, they pushing this whole alpha male shit like a new religion. Bro, that's a whole nother religion, the alpha male, bro. I want you to look into that, Sutter, because you'll rip that
Yeah.
apart, bro. Like,
Yeah, I went into that in reference to the alpha male because they're also simultaneously promoting the beta male. And that's that whole that just like they use science against religion. So Joe Rogan is another representation of that alpha male. So like all these people that go on his show, like he represents that, you know, fake ass
yeah,
alpha male. Like it's
yeah.
just this generated, it's this garbage ass version of what a man is. And that's where the transgender stuff comes in too, because once you are being filled with so much chaos in your consciousness, then that's creating that emptiness for more parasitic programs to leech onto you. And these individuals represent that shit. And that's why I said this is what people are like when I start talking about Joe Rogan around people who are like cool with Joe Rogan, and not cool like they know him, but they know what he talks about on they think he's cool, his consciousness is cool or whatever. I'm just like, that dude's a fucking weapon against like the nature of reality. He's a living weapon against the nature of
That's
reality.
facts,
And
bro. Say that shit again. He's a living weapon against the
against
nature
the
of reality. That's
and
facts.
the consciousness of reality. Like that's just like the education. So he's a soldier. He's a representation. And like I said, I want to emphasize again. I'm not trying to say like somebody go out there and do something physically to Joe Rogan. I'm not saying that. I'm saying no. Challenge yourself to go higher than that and go consciously and address the macrocosm of what's going on. The microcosm is to do some shit about Joe Rogan like it really fucking matters. It doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. It's what he represents that matters. And it's like the education system. It's not about the heliocentrism. It's about the nature of critical thought. That's what really matters. Like that's in reference to the education system. Beyond that, the mainstream media. Does Trump really fucking matter, or is it the authority of power? The illusion of authority of power that they have, the illusion of authority that the system has. That's what really fucking matters. But when they tell you every single day, no, Trump's stupid ass tweets is what matters. And then they have 50 different ways to
Ooh,
explain that to
boy,
you
hey,
in a funny way.
ooh,
Then you just accept it, and then you go back to sleep. That's why they have late
mm-hmm.
night talk shows,
Yep.
because they're lullabying your ass to sleep.
And look, and you, boy, hey, you going in? Cause look, the late night talk show send you to bed with the Hegelian dialectic going left brain, right brain. Now you're an innocent person thinking that this shit really matter, but you don't know it's a chess game and it's two sides of the board. Democrat, Republican is what they got your left brain and right brain reduced to. This shit real deep because politics got the root word of pole, and pole is dealing with that polar, that duat, sun and moon, Democrat, Republican. And most of y'all think y'all can make change by going through politics. And what my brother Sutter Infinity telling you is this right here. Politics is just another fucking religion. It's a religion just like heliocentrism or anything else. Because you got God and devil, but now you got Democrat Republican. And it's all the same shit like heaven blue, hell red. They playing politics, which is polar tricks. It's a Hegelian dialected on your fucking mind. So that yin yang symbol don't have the true meaning today. Where that symbol would unite us in the past, it divide us today, and it got a bunch of people. But I just saw families break up because this side of the family voted Republican when don't neither one of them shits matter. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
ignorance is a religion these days. That's all of these in the macrocosm. It's the ignorance that's a religion that will have people, because the education system promotes ignorance by promoting conformity to authority. And that conformity to authority is an authority of ignorance. And once you graduate from high school, you become indoctrinated, you become inducted into, you now have the choice. You are forced when you needed your physical needs taken care of by your family, they wanted to separate you from your family and install ignorance programs into your reality so that when you've been properly conditioned, you graduate from your forced ignorance and now you have the freedom to choose your style of ignorance when you graduate. So they tell you to go into that and you become indebted into that system. This is where the physical manifestation of school debt is, because consciously we wanted to be a part of that ignorance. So since we became, because this is an attack on our consciousness, and through our subconscious is where we are being like attacked, attacked on our consciousness as a whole, because the consciousness, the our conscious reality is just distracted from and meant to be this very shallow, materialistic, monkey minded, primitive, like sort of savage, shallow, sort of just, make some babies and, have a good time, man. Just fucking, that's it, man. That's perfect for reality.
And
Joe Rogan
see,
represents that shit.
you're right.
That's what he represents. And that
Hmm.
that consciousness is like the biggest threat overall, and that is the consciousness of the ignorance, the religion of ignorance. And once we see it as a religion of ignorance, that's when we can actually do something about it. But we haven't even seen it largely on a large scale. We don't know how ignorant we really are, because the religion of ignorance is still like the accepted, kind of like how Christianity is the biggest religion of the United States or whatever. Like, well, ignorance is the biggest religion of humanity right now, because we've been conditioned to just accept the ignorance as the intellect, accept the ignorance as the authority. They don't know about the fucking pyramids. They tell you they don't know. They don't give a fuck. So if you're dumb enough to not ask any questions about that, then you're dumb enough to be, that's part of your indoctrination or your acceptance into the religion of ignorance. And they've made a business out of it through the university system, which is just a degree program for the religion of ignorance, that tells you that when you graduate from here, and you're now qualified to make other people ignorant. You can teach other people how to be ignorant. We don't see this shit the way that is. And then you have people who are priding themselves in the sororities and the fraternities of the religion of ignorance through the university system, and then that is defended against by subconsciously and consciously by the people who just regurgitate what other people in the congregation have been saying for however many generations. And they're all saying the same ignorance in a different language. So now, since we have access to these information and we're starting to heal ourselves from this bullshit that's been weighing down on us forever, we are now realizing that we don't have to be subjected or limited to, obviously, the religion of ignorance, but any kind of that, like even beyond that, like beyond that is the idea of needing a religion to have a relationship to your reality or yourself. It's this need for something. This is why a lot of these things, and especially a lot of these truthers circles or communities or stuff like that we think we need this stuff, but we only need it as a stepping stone back to ourselves, to realize that our own relationship to ourselves, which will make our relationship to other people that much deeper. But since we're so caught up in the religion of ignorance that tells us, no, you need to get emotional and angry about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and they'll say, oh, here, since now you're emotional, here's Bernie Sanders or here's Barack Obama. Oh, you guys almost did it. Close, so close, but yes, you still failed. And then like you're like, what? I'm gonna be mad for 4 years, and let's just get angry together and be really smart in comparison to. If you're really smart or conscious in comparison to, you're not fucking smart at all, especially if it's comparison to like somebody or something like Donald Trump. But that is the mainstream consciousness that's being promoted by all these late night talk shows, the university system, and the nature of the system itself that tells you this is how reality works. That's what's being told to people subconsciously and consciously in many different ways. But subconsciously, we're being told by people like Joe Rogan, and the fact that he exists out there as an authority of intellect. That's what he is. He's a soldier for an authority of intellect, but it's only within the religion of ignorance.
Man,
So
that
as
is
soon
deep.
as, until we realize that's what's actually happening, we're not going to realize how far we can go. Or
Hey, Sutter, you still there? Yo,
yeah,
Sutter.
really get into it and kind of get lost.
Hey, you dropped out for a little minute after you said that Joe Rogan was like you said he's a soldier of intellect, and that was powerful, bro. We got a lot of them, and that's another word for gatekeeper, man, because
Yeah,
that's deep. Uh-huh.
yeah, I said he's a soldier of intellect in the religion of ignorance. That's where I dropped off. Like he's a soldier of intellect in the religion of ignorance, and that religion is it's not Christianity that's the biggest religion. It's not materialism, it's ignorance that is the biggest religion, because ignorance is what allows you to be materialistic. Ignorance is what, like kind of like pigeonholes you into a world of pride, like the musclehead regular Joe Rogan consciousness, and the pride of 1776 with Alex Jones, and then you having all these other people calling themselves truthers talking about Alex Jones is the way, he's got all the answers, because like maybe they think he's like Christian, he's like a Christian or something. Like people see, that's another thing that people are using in reference to like when they have their stuff to hold on to, they latch on to other people who kind of might be a part of what they're talking about, simply because of their belief systems. Like Christianity, like a lot of people are following Alex Jones, like they're that the tentacles, the hooks that get into your skin like a fucking parasite, one of those big ass hooks are like being connected to somebody else because of their religion, or being connected to somebody else because of their belief systems, or they're a true American. You really think those motherfuckers, you really think Beyonce gives a fuck about you? You really think like all these people out here, like they care? They don't even know you. They don't care about you. They never, that you are simply there to keep them on that pedestal. The religion of ignorance exists to keep them on that pedestal. As soon as the religion of ignorance is seen for what it is, their towers and their people, their soldiers of that ignorant sort of intellect will start falling on their own. That's another solution. That's another goal, or another thing when people ask for solution. That's another thing that's inherently already happening. So when people get into all butthurt in their feelings, talking about you're just talking a bunch of stuff and I still don't hear any solutions, or like this, you're just talking. Who the fuck are you? Like, I'm not saying that you should be doing any one thing. I'm just inherently being able to speak about any of this shit is another version of a solution. Like you need a solution with a goddamn like a crown on it, a gold star or some shit. Like, no, we're doing it right now, but we have to be patient with ourselves, and be patient with people that are waking up too, because that's another thing that we tend to get lost in, and realize not realizing how much garbage is out there, how much shit is out there, and how hard it is to really break those um those those tentacles of that religion of ignorance in so many different ways. You still there, or is your mic on? Bro Sanchez fell asleep, or or I fell off the stream. One of the two. Put a let's see, I'm looking at the chat right now. Put a 1 if you can still hear me in the chat.
I guess you can't hear me then. Oh shit.
No, what happened was I went to the fridge to I'm gonna go on and admit something.
I was gonna say you went to go make a sandwich as a joke, but let's go ahead and say.
No, I got this stream going over I make beats, so I got these big ass speakers. I can hear you, but I can't respond. But I can still hear you from the kitchen. But I'm away from the computer, but I can still hear you. And I went to grab me a brew, man. I ain't gonna front. I went to grab me a cold. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm back now, man.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Let me put my headphones back on too and cut these damn big ass speakers off real quick.
All right. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still there now. Now I'm back rolling with you. I just had to step away for a minute. Yeah, but man, what I wanted to say about everything we was talking about was the whole political aspect of it. Like, there was a time in the conscious community where politics and what we call it consciousness today was like arch nemesis. The opposite of consciousness would have been like the niggas who think politics count. But today what we find is like the mainstream conscious channels is really reinforcing the whole game to you that is either Democrat or Republican. Like, for example, I ain't gonna lie to you. When I saw Michael Moore, Fahrenheit 9/11, and a lot of more documentaries he did, I ain't gonna front. I thought like, yeah, this guy is about it, man. He's got the answers like to, yeah, man, we need to go to the government and march up there to Congress and all of that. And you sit back and think about it, like, we even said in these communities, like, yeah, man, speak truth to the powers. And when you think about it, that's what we get it from. It's so stupid because it's like, why does it matter to speak truth to the powers when they know the fucking truth? They just hoping don't get the truth. Speak the truth to the people who next to you still convinced of the lie. And real talk, like a lot of these shows is like you said, these guys are intellectual gate guards. They like intellectual soldiers. You ain't really a rebel or a revolutionary or fighting a cause if you ain't. So for example, a lot of those guys who caught up in conservatives versus liberal or Democrat versus politic, and they studying certain bills or rights and getting in contact with like their social security numbers and straw men and saying, hey man, maybe we need to introduce a green party or this or that. It's still what they saying, well, hey man, something wrong with the game. Something is wrong with this game, so let's modify the game. When really the solution is to flip the damn table and the game and the board all over and say, I'm tired of playing with y'all ass. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the casino, the house is always gonna win. You keep going in there, putting your money in there, all that hard-earned work. This is a big ass casino.
Yep. And like you said, with the casino, you gambling. You basically gambling. You taking your hard-earned money, gambling that you hit big. So you taking your hard-earned voice and your spirit of rebellion, hoping that you hit big on a candidate. All right, because you bet it on spades, or you bet it on Trump, or you bet it on diamonds to hit, or the king of clubs to win, which was Obama, or and it's like you think all of these is the solution, but your card never come up because the solution is, you know what? Fuck gambling my money. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired. The game ain't. Thank you. It ain't built for me to win. That's what
they want to fix it. All the people like Alex Jones and all these other Joe Rogan, they're protectors, they're security guards for the casino of that anti-consciousness. So this really, like, you're gambling with your consciousness when you're gambling with time, and you play in that religion of ignorance, in that world of of ignorance and just monkey-minded sort of conquering materialistic bullshit. It's this parasitic consciousness. We're gambling with our own time, with our own livelihood, our own lives are being given away, literally, like in reference to the Matrix metaphor of the batteries be people being the batteries. It's because we've been conditioned. We can only be the batteries. It's like batteries that are being like we're walking, being told to walk into this machine and plug into this machine. And this machine is being held up by, you're being told and convinced by these individuals to get inside this machine, inside this cage that is the casino, is this anti-consciousness that is held up by these soldiers or these security guards like Joe Rogan, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Bill Nye. If anybody still has any questions of like why something like flat Earth matters or the not globe model matters, I mean that's the best way I can explain it, is because that's the biggest threat. It's not the information really. It's what we do or don't do with the information that's the biggest threat. Because, and that's why I said people like Mark and Patricia, in my own eyes now, I'm just like, man, they're the biggest fucking threat in many different ways. Obviously, not there's bigger than them. It ain't about them, but it's the consciousness that they represent. It's the feeling. I'm not talking about them when I reference them in any of my videos. I'm talking about the way, what they represent as a way of thought, of a soldier, another version of Joe Rogan, another soldier of thought. That is the most dangerous thing that's out there. And when you have those kinds of soldiers sitting on something as, energetically, like so much potential in something like flat Earth, they're actually counterproductive after a certain point. And in my eyes, in my perspective, it's been 3 years. It's been way past that point. We've already been, and many people have already confirmed that these individuals are only, or it's not about the individuals, but the thought. The thought is only about fixing the program, or just dealing with the program says in reference to fixing itself, or it's powerless is the whole point. That's the whole point. And so when I reference them, like, I don't give a fuck about them. I give a fuck about what they represent. No different than what Joe Rogan represents as a soldier or a security guard for this casino of anti-consciousness.
And this casino of anti-consciousness, talking about, like, when we brought up Joe Rogan, I let him off the hook earlier, right? You know what I want this, what I want to point out to you was the fact that Joe Rogan is in the conscious community. I was saying that earlier about him being in the conscious community, and you'll be surprised. Him, Alex Jones, David Icke, these guys have so many motherfucking followers. They got millions of followers, and they are seen as the revolutionaries of our time. Like, despite what us truthers know, we don't write the history books. Consensus write the history books. So when it's all said and done, the people that's gonna go down in history as the revolutionaries of our time would be like Trump supporters and shit today. The people who told you that the wall was great, and look, it is. The people who made you, convinced you that more control was greater. Think about what I'm saying right now. Joe Rogan, he reinforced the programming that we go against. Now, it's so easy to reinforce Earth is a globe, we come from apes. Hey man, you need to just vote better. You need to get involved with politics. That's the problem. That's the reason you're struggling. You ain't voting for the right person, and we talking about this casino. It's all your fucking fault. The reason you in the ghetto, the reason you ain't doing right, the reason everything fucked up, because you ain't voting the right person in office. Get involved. Get involved in politics. Learn which candidate is right. Study the law. And it's like, the same shit the pastor tell you in church. The reason shit ain't happening right in your life, the reason you ain't getting your blessing, because you ain't studying this Bible, which is God and devil, Democrat, Republican. You ain't manifesting things in your life. It's the same religion. Y'all got to understand politics is a religion. It's polar tricks. God, devil, Democrat, Republican, but it's all the same in the same book. Crazy thing about it is like consciousness today is getting more involved into politics, whereas consciousness in the past was destroying the system, saying fuck politics. You had the hippie movement who was going against the war, saying fuck the government. I'm tired of y'all government my mental. I'd rather sit over here in a park with a bunch of like-minded people and smoke a joint and talk about ways to overthrow this bullshit system. Now that was the hippie movement before we had the internet. You had social gatherings and social media of people meeting up in areas where, man, they had to stop that shit. Like they had big festivals and hippie movements where people was coming together speaking along the same lines of shit we speaking right now. But before the internet, we was actually taking trips like some of these conferences we talking about now. But we wasn't getting awards and shit. We was like, you was talking to me earlier about psychedelics. That's what the hippies was doing. They was meeting up, I ain't gonna lie, smoking hella weed, feeling good, coming together, questioning the powers that be. Man, that was a fucking threat. Cause you gotta think, the hippies would meet up and gather in the thousands, and you had artists, tattoo designers, musicians, you had poets. This was a whole economy. This was a whole movement. You had concerts. Yo, they had to stop that, and the hippie movement became the hippie hop movement, or what we call in hip hop today. So hip hop started off with a bunch of artists, poets, musicians, break dances, all of that coming up saying fight the powers that be. But it was really COINTELPRO. The real hippie movement was them motherfuckers who was out there in them damn woods hugging trees, smoking weed, and all them different groups of people like that who we was calling hippies. They co-opted that and turned it into hippie hop, and now you see what that's about today. So, see, the shit's so deep, bro.
Yep, and then like I was saying earlier, it really boils down to how and why, like the how and why consciousness, and that's I keep referring back to that because it's the easiest way to explain like how we allow ourselves to trap ourselves in this casino or in this frame of thought or in this ignorance. And I explain it from my perspective of how I've gotten out of that process so far, like to where, like I say, some people, whoever doesn't know about my channel, like or my background, I spent 7 years in the army, and then I went in right out of high school. I was still 17. I qualified on my M16 on my 18th birthday, and it was that's how far that was a representation of how far indoctrinated into that system I was, and then how even when I got out, I still didn't learn. I was in that system. I knew about the authority. I knew how fucked up everything was to some degree, but it wasn't activated in any kind of me because in any part of a deeper layer of me, because I wasn't an expression of any deeper part of myself. I was just an expression of what the world told me to be like. So I didn't know how to think. I didn't know why to think. I didn't know why to perceive I didn't even, I had nowhere, I had no docking station for that intellect. I had no docking set because my docking station for information or how I perceive my reality was given to me by the system, which was achieve the American dream. Like, get a girlfriend, get married, have some babies, have a good job, have a house, have a car, and all that other stuff. Like that is, and then once you finally do it, then you've become activated as a successful human being. And that's like goes back to our definitions and the importance of, like I said earlier, about our definitions being given to us by this religion, this university of ignorance. Like our definitions of what success is, what humanity is, what human nature is, what relationships are, what a man is, what a woman is, what nature is. Like all of this has been given to us. Like our definition of nature has been given to us by a consciousness that is unnatural. Like well, that's how far removed we are, and how okay we are with, just this ignorance of our reality. And then that's the glory of Rome, and the glory of this mind control program is that it has created security guards within the consciousness of people. It has made organic robots already. It's made living zombies already. That's the real glory. It doesn't have to do anything, because the people of this anti-consciousness religion, they will defend it for them, for the parasite. The parasite has become so much a part of our reality that the people of this reality are more of the consciousness of the parasite than they are of themselves, because we don't know ourselves. Like I said, when I went into the military, I didn't know what that is. Like, what is it? I don't know anything. I didn't really have much of like in reference to like uh I didn't have a religious parent upbringing. It was just kind of like, all right, like we're cool. We're gonna take care of each other. We're in the community. We're cool. It was mostly like street smarts, and that's a real like intelligence there that a lot of the times doesn't really get acknowledged, because that's a segue into the the survivor smarts, or the intellect that exists outside of the university system. This is why people in the inner cities are such a threat to reality, and why we have to have drugs installed and guns installed into the community by the government, is because we thrive without having much of anything. And that is a consciousness that can't exist in a world that tells you that the only way that you can thrive, the only way that you can be successful, is if you thrive within the way we tell you to be successful. So this is why people in the streets are being hit so hard, is because they're like, nah, I can do everything that you're doing 1,000 times better with 100,000 times less the resources that you have. Like, I mean, that is a big ass threat to. This is why YouTube is attacking, people, and it is a formal attack. I've had movies. I've had videos lose views. I've gone to sleep one night and then woken up in the morning with hundreds less views than I had the night before. This is all like proven shit that's going on, and I'm not the only one. If there's a freeze on individuals that's been confirmed, then you can understand that there's a freeze on the expansion of consciousness, and that's the biggest damn threat that's out there. And these motherfuckers like Joe Rogan are like the biggest proponents. They're the biggest soldiers that are counteracting or are working against us. But that's the whole thing. We don't even know what us is anymore.
But you know, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to say something else about Joe Rogan, because I'm glad you brought him up, bro. He once went against like the moon missions. He once would have been like a slyway convincing person at one point. I found out that's how they even implant these people in the conscious community in the first place. They get them out there with a big ass argument that'll solidify them and make them gain the trust of the people. I was in law enforcement. I know how this fucking mentality works. The police that's going undercover, the moment he go undercover, right off the back, he got to do some gangster shit to solidify himself. He got to go ahead, if he undercover and he infiltrating the mob or something, He got to hit a line of cocaine. He got to do something to make him go on where they say, well, yeah, he one of us, man. And I found out that they do the same shit. Like Phil Schneider was another one. I don't know if y'all remember him, bro. But he came and reinforced the underground aliens and the dumb theories and all of that. It was another form of heliocentrism. When they got you tired of looking up at the aliens, they made you look down at the motherfucking aliens. And it's so deep. Like, you find out when these people created social media, they wanted to be the first ones to infiltrate it with the control opposition. These folks so smart, they knew when they created this social media, we was gonna get on it and start exposing them. So they said, you know what? They said when we create this shit, we gonna go ahead, put the control opposition and the people up there to go against us, but they owned by us anyway. But we gonna go and get them up there exposing us. That's how they gain our trust. These folks get up there and they have a deep conspiracy. They get up and it can be a flat earther, man. We done saw this, like a motherfucker come out saying, yo, the earth is flat, man. A global woman is real. Yo, the earth is flat, yo. But you need to vote Democrat or Republican. Like, yo, they'll give you one big thing, but still keep you stuck in that shit.
Yep, the intricacies of it is what keeps it alive within our own consciousness. It makes it real. Like, in order for you to be real, you have to be real complex. Like, you have to have more like to you. So, in order for a mind control program to be real within a complex organism's, a very intellectual organism's reality, it has to be very complex itself and have the illusion of freedom, have the illusion of choice. That's why you have Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, Bill Maher, Samantha Bee, Trevor Noah, and all the other late night talk shows, the different comedians, the Netflix. This is the algorithm of what Netflix is. I've gone into this a lot on my channel. It's basically the same algorithm of the mainstream media, the trending page on YouTube. It's the algorithm of making you think about a particular subject, but from a different kind of perspective. But it seems like it's a different perspective because it's a different person, but it's the same thing. It's the same effect on us. So they're saying the same things. This is what Trump represents in the world right now, is kind of having this false unification against the ignorance of society, or false unification around the bad guys of society. He plays a really good villain, and a really good villain looks amazing after you just had 8 years of a really good superhero.
Facts.
So this is how this consciousness game gets played, and we don't even realize it because we're trapped in the game, in the checker game, not even realizing the 3-tiered nature of this. We've been desensitizing from thinking about how slick and how deep they go into fucking everybody up pretty much. And that's why I said it's so important to have your definitions of reality in some kind of way written down, or at least symbolized. This is what the ancients did. This is why they used symbols, so you wouldn't get lost in the linear nature of words being written down on a piece of paper. Is like it takes a long time. You can say a lot more in symbols, and you can go a lot deeper in symbolism than you would be able in like word. I mean, you can try, but the simpler it is, the more complex it is, really, because you don't have to go so deep into it. It just exists. I mean, it's just the way it is. The simplest part. It's just kind of like how a child will tell you or express to you the the most obvious definitions of what a human being is. Like on one level, obviously not all of what a human being is, but at its most innocent sort of expression, a child asking a question to these children, they'll tell you that they're not the ones subjected to this ignorance yet. So they'll tell you the truth. They'll be like, they're the ones that ask why and how all the time, and then that gets conditioned out of us. When we're kids are always asking why, and they're just like, don't worry about it. It's because I said so. That's why. Like, that's another expression of the authority that the system has against us. And then it shuts down a part of our consciousness to where we don't even question our reality, because even our own parents have told us, don't ask any more fucking questions. It's because, okay, like, that's why, because I said so. Why is this earth a ball? Because I said so, motherfucker. It's the Big Bang and dinosaurs and monkeys and shit, and then it's you with a fucking smartphone, and then you're like, but those are theories, and that's it. No, because I said so, bitch. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, that's basically what's going on right now. And then you're like, okay, like, is that it, what now? Like, go back to work and shut your fucking mouth. That's what now. And that's basically what's happening right now with these pimps of scientism. And
Oh man, that's exactly what's happening, because check this out, and I'm gonna just plug this in. You just said some real shit. Your ass crazy, Soto. But hey, check this out, bro. It's crazy because it's almost like, whose lie make the most sense?
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Fuck getting to the truth. We don't care about no truth, nigga. It's who lie make the most sense, and who, like the pimp said, who got the biggest game. Now, the whole know that the game ain't in her best advantage. Like, she can be better off, without the pimp. But she get caught up into this dialectic, or I just need the right pimp. And that's what the fuck it is, bro. Like, some of these folks go from Christianity to more, to this science, to that one, to New Age. Oh man, it's so many snails, and dude, it's sad, because some folks will live their whole life before they just sit back and be like, you know what? Let me question belief itself, because everything that's ruling me is based on belief. So let's find out about belief itself. That's how you shortcut. But think of every book that's written. Now, all of these books, they said the more books you read, the more smarter you get, Subtle. But look how many books in the world, man. It'll take you lifetimes to read them. So the thing is, you'll go through all of these different schools of thought and never find yourself until you start questioning the goddamn authors themselves. And that's what the fuck I'm on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Fuck the middleman, because that's who been in the way the whole time. Jesus the middleman, Buddha the middleman. Go through this goddamn long ass book, dude. Some people old as fuck and still ain't read the whole Bible, the whole Quran. And if you telling me that's the answers to their life, and it take you that long, or these are fucking novels. Like, you gotta think about this shit. And it ain't enough when you just read the Bible. You gotta go read the Torah, get the Hebrew this and all that, bro. And they really want you to think like, cause think the people in the tribe the people in the bushes don't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like the real, you know what I'm saying? It's just deep.
When you have a book, that's the difference between the symbolism, the ancestors, and like a book, and what that does to you. It creates this atmosphere of like a thing outside of you externally, whereas symbols activate something inside of you. It's not like really, it's not about the symbols, because these symbols are not like so structured that it's written as a book, like. But the point is that we, instead of questioning like how we think and how we believe, we're sitting here arguing and getting emotional, like very generally, about what's in certain books. And then you end up defending, this book to that book and that book. And you miss the whole point of the experience itself, which is not to hold on or need. And you can't take that book with you. You didn't have it when you got here. So like, if you're holding on to something that is within this little reality, that's what you need to make this reality more real for you. So that's why I said it's not a bad, I see it as like a bad thing because it's a stepping stone and there's no judgment on anybody else on how far or how long it takes for them to get through stepping. So who's to say that an entire lifetime isn't a stepping stone and they needed that stepping stone within a stepping stone of life to do, and maybe that's all they needed to do. Maybe they did some other shit that we hadn't even done yet, or whoever else hadn't even done yet, and that's just what they needed to do to have that experience. I'm not saying that's like universal, but it's a reality that could exist that makes a lot of sense in reference to the complexities of how infinite like these experiences are. And then when we observe the infinite nature of like even thought, and then just like perceiving your reality, it's obvious to see the mind control programs that are promoted by these pimps that are out there to just make you, you know, go out there and sell your ass for this game. You're selling your time, you're selling your consciousness, you're selling your, because this pimp has told you, you know, this is the only game, like, you know, that what you have is only about your body. You have no brain, you have no spirit, you know, go sell your ass, and then that's what you need to survive. And so the nature of the relationship, the landscape, the platform that the pimp and the whole relationship exists within is what I'm coming at. Like that's what I want to address. Why does the pimps and the hoes storyline like why is that being allowed to exist by some smart ass people? Like we us like the people who are questioning our reality as a whole, our potential like is so far beyond allowing, like even children, if they would not allow this system to be the way it is. So obviously there's a reason why that's being held up by the system, by some people or beings or whatever who's profiting off of this. So until we start approaching the very nature of the foundations, we're still going to be fighting within. That's why I said a lot of it's not the people don't really matter. It's what these people represent. They like Joe Rogan or even like some of the Black conscious community. It's not so much about the individuals. It's about they represent a lack of consciousness or a glorification of a stepping stone, like a glorification of like what, like moving from one space to the other, but missing on the experience of, you know, being what it is that is moving and what it is that you're experiencing. And we don't even look into like that as being part of our relationship to this reality or even anything that matters. Like so if that doesn't matter, then you don't matter. Just so the same thing happens. Like you have no meaning and no purpose, and then you, if you don't matter from your origin story, the Big Bang. See, this is another thing we have to like that makes this shit more obvious is when we label it for what it is. And this is one thing I'm going to start doing on my channel or memes or something else too. It's just like, this is the origin story. This is the cosmology. It is like be a big ass proponent of like the Big Bang. It's like, this is some real shit. Like this is like what we came from this. Like, I love these smart ass motherfuckers. Like Einstein and Newton and Copernicus and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Carl Sagan, man. These are the best motherfuckers in the universe, and they've created like our cosmology and our cosmology because they're already doing it with the cosmos, just in order to make it see how ludicrous it is, like how just ridiculous all of this bullshit is, and we just accept it. And then when you see it that way, see the only one of the main reasons why we don't do anything about a lot of the shit that's going on right now is because the system hasn't really played out front. Like it wears a cape and it wears a crown, but it tells you that it's not wearing a cape and it's not wearing a crown. The same way that it beats the fuck out of you and kills you, but it tells you that it's not doing it. So since we trust and love and believe in this system, we just listen to what their mouth is saying and don't pay attention to what their actions are showing. And then we live in that world of ignorance that doesn't go any further than what we've been told. And that's the whole game itself. It's like, who gave you the authority to tell me what my definitions of reality are? You're obviously a piece of shit. So what's next? And then like, I'll drink them water. That's what's next for me.
Yeah, but you know, and it's real deep, brother, because I keep saying this because we in a day where the person who believe the scientist the most is the smartest. Like, we used to be scientists, but today we just reduced to people who believe motherfuckers who say they scientists. And then, you know, that's the whole thing behind it. But yeah, I just want to say something too before I forget, because I keep forgetting. Let me go on here and do this now. Shout out to my brother Ross Peace. Said been watching your videos for a minute now. Just got to show some love. I appreciate the support, brother. Shout out to You Are Me. Appreciate your support. And shout out to the brother Philip Lewis, who just hit at the motherfucking casino. While we talk about the casino, the brother just hit their ass, and hey, he shared a little bit of the earnings. Shout out to you, my brother. Appreciate you, Phil. I really do, my brother. I appreciate everybody that's supported the show. But we gonna keep going long as y'all want to. Sort of aside, you know, we good and everything like that.
I was actually gonna bring that up. It's coming down to the wire for me.
Yeah, I understand. We were approaching the 4-hour mark here in a minute, but it's been so powerful that I ain't mind staying, but I understand that we do gotta cut it short. So yeah, I guess we can go ahead and then cut it short at this time. But brother Shuttle, I just want to say in our closing, another powerful ass bill like always, and we're gonna do more of these, man, for sure, man, because we got a chance to touch on a lot of stuff, and I'm glad we didn't have a particular title, because we was able to hop around and just deal with a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna go back and watch this again myself, because a lot of jewels was dropped, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and remember, if you want to find Subtle Infinity, his channel link is in the video description. And I'm gonna let the brother before we just leave, we gonna do a closing. So if you want to say anything.
And thank you again for having me on, and thank you to all the supporters of both of our channels and everything. I really do appreciate that, and yeah, like thank you to everybody, and yeah, I look forward to building again. Like this is like we're really just holding space, like for us to go deep into these other perspectives, and it's helpful to me. If it's helpful to me, I know it's helpful to you and then other people too, and it only needs to be helpful for one other person to be it. So I'm thankful and grateful for you to be able to reflect that same for the people who are in the comment section or consistently showing support. Like I really do appreciate it, because like it's a lot. It is difficult. Like it wears down on you. It is something that you have to really. It is kind of like going to the gym. Like you have to stay on it and work your muscles and constantly grow and learn and evolve in this whole thing, because like if you're like in war, if your enemy is doing it, if they're going to the gym every day, they're not only going to the gym every day, or it's not only going to the gym every day, but it's telling people and your soldiers, your brothers and your sisters, your family and your like your family members, it's telling them like, nah, don't worry about the gym, man. Just get fat and happy and just be about your business. And then that's it. That's all you need to do. And that's like some of the most destructive shit that's out there. That's not to say like to have any judgments, because this is obviously in reference to the difference between the micro and the macro. People are going to do whatever it is that they're going to do. But for the people who are aware of the macrocosm, who are aware of the macro storylines and the macro warfare on the spiritual, psychological, and physical warfare that's going on, these are the people that I'm addressing, and I'm thankful, like I said, grateful to have support from so many like-minded and very powerful people. Like it's really not in like an egotistical thing, but just kind of like in a respectful honoring of, you know, the power of being able to think and communicate and relate and be able to just continue to help each other like move on. Like it's a very deep thing and a very powerful thing to have that I think we don't like pay attention to a lot of the times, or give enough credit, like where credit is due. So thank you for doing what you do, staying on the ball, like staying on your, no pun intended, like staying on your shit. And then because so many, it is very difficult and time consuming, and at times it can be very stressful. And like
Yeah.
yeah, we kind of need each other to hold that space in order to like you said, just keep moving on. So yeah, thank you to you, and thank you to the support group in the chat. And yeah, peace and blessings to everybody. Thank you.
And peace and blessings to you too, my brother Sutter. You know, the people all in the chat room saying, man, they love it when we collaborate. Oh yeah, man, me and Sutter been collabing for a minute. Like I said, we're gonna continue to do it. Shout out to the brother ODD Art Reality. You know, Art Reality is a supporter of me and Sutter's channel too. And yeah, so I want to give him a big shout out too as well, because he been had his foot on the ground, putting the truth out there too, man. And yeah, man, just watch how y'all moving out there. You know, the flat earth community has been infiltrated. And just keep your eyes open. Remember, the real respect real. I'ma always be loyal to my fam who been there from day one. Real, subtle infinity, one of them. And yeah, it is what it is. Y'all can look forward to more of these. And yeah, much love to my brother Subtle, man. I'm gonna let you go and get out of here, my brother, and I'm gonna get out of here myself, man. Until next time.
Cool. All right, peace, brother.
Peace, my
Some
brother.
rest.
I will. Much love. And yeah, man, much love to y'all out there. I'm gonna say this before I go. I know a lot of y'all was looking at the yin yang symbol over there. That's a cool little gift that I found. Hey man, it makes your mind open up. Like, what if the moon moved vertically across the firmament and the sun moved horizontally spiral? Like the sun spirals a vertical, the sun is spiraling the globular firmament dome horizontally, and the moon is spiraling the globular firmament dome vertically. Sort of like what they teaching us is longitude and latitude on a globe. They teach you about longitude and latitude, how these two lines cross-sect on a globe. What if longitude and latitude is the path of the sun and moon around the firmament, just like we see in this yin yang? Now we know that they ascend and descend, but that's just some food for thought. I'm gonna leave y'all with that flat earth revelation. Hey, what if? Look forward to the Dogon series continuing with deeper videos into the Kananga symbolism and the mother goddess Amma and the North Pole land of the Pygmy, baby. Travel with your brother. We're going to keep on keeping your mind open. I'm going to keep giving y'all quality live streams, quality uploads, and quality individuals and brothers that's you know, intelligent brothers. Brothers that I wouldn't mind fighting side by side with this info wars, you know, because these brothers are very eloquent and enlightened brothers. So shout out again to Subtle, shout out to Masterpiece, shout out to the brother D Marble, shout out to my brother New York in the chat room, another shout out to ODD, and hey, shout out to Debay, man, shout out to Eric Dubay. I'm gonna go and give him, he opened a lot of eyes now. Shout out to all of you in the chat room. Shout out to everybody that supported the show today. And just want to let you know it wouldn't be a show without you viewers. So really big shout out to all of you in the chat room, man. Whether you agree or disagree, whether you show up to hate or you show up to show love, shout out to you, man. You know, but the people who show love to this platform and what Bro Sanchez do, I really love y'all. I appreciate all of your support, whether it just be hitting the like button, whether it be moderating, whether it be super chat, PayPal, any kind of support, man. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to keep on going hard and growing strong, doing the meticulous research, cracking the cosmic code. Black power, much love. Y'all be safe out there. All right? Hey guys, if you want to hang around the chat room for a little while, that's fine, because I'm going to be playing some nice music for you guys just to get your minds right before you go to bed. Vibe out to a lot of this flat earth music. So just enjoy the music and, you know, hang out in the chat room. Shout out to all of y'all, man. Like I said, good night. You guys be safe.
Motherfucking power facts. NASA taking $60 million from us every day, and all we get is CGI of a fake world display. They tried to go to the moon and got blocked by the firmament. Came back and faked the mission cause they couldn't accomplish it. So all that information that they got is counterfeit, and all them planets that they say they find is bullshit. That's why I'm repping Flat Panthers crew with no bandanas, just the truth and right answers. I'm trying to show people the truth cause to me it's in plain sight. Like the moon on a late night, I roll up and I take flight. Gotta keep my mind balanced in a world so cold. If you read in between the lines, a new story is told. Fuck the system cause they lied to us about where we live, and taking everything from us. Damn, something's gotta give. That's why knowledge is power, and homie, I'm a scholar, and we know the truth, that it's flat fucking power. Flat motherfucking power. Flat motherfucking power. Flat motherfucking power. Flat motherfucking power. I'm talking flat motherfucking power. Flat motherfucking power. Flat motherfucking power. Fat.
Get your diploma, go to college, nigga, then get a job. You can get a big house, bad white flat car. Go to church, praise God, nigga, you can live large. The American dream, man, that shit just a facade. You say you going hard, but I know it's a facade. You a pump faker just like Neil Armstrong. Then that boy said he had walked up on the moon and motherfuck Kim Jong, cause I'm the nigga with the bomb. I told my bitch, don't believe it cause it came on the tube. They trying to brainwash it, yeah, that's one of the tools that they use just to keep us with the blues. These niggas green as fuck and I'm just out here chasing clues. They trying to strip us all from our tools. That's why they really shooting up these schools. MK ultra suspect, look confused in the courtroom like what the fuck I do. But cute, people really died, don't that mean that shit true? Nigga, just to keep the lie alive, they'll murk you. Men in black shit, don't feel no finna take a trip to Peru, ain't coming back shit. Cause drippin' all this truth like Martin Luther might get me whack. Get your diploma, go to college, nigga, then get a job. You can get a big house, bad wife, flat car. Go to church, praise God, nigga, you can live large. The American dream, man, that shit just a facade. You say you going hard, but I know it's a facade. You a pump faker just like Neil Armstrong. Then that boy said he had walked up on the moon and motherfuck Kim Jong, cause I'm the nigga with the bomb. They say them boys overseas got them nukes. But tell us send them motherfuckers through. You lying through your necktie, you need a noose. Man, you can't never trust a nigga in a suit. Them bitches snakes in the grass, reptilian. Trying to blend in just like a chameleon. My bitch say I'm keeping secrets like a Jesuit. I told her shut the fuck up, but she disfellowship. Like King Tut, put the on my necklace. And nigga, you were just a you your daddy kid. When I was young, I was running around reckless. But now I see the promised land, I'm talking Exodus. And I was thinking about going vegetarian. But them bitches playing games with the celery. Sprinkling dust on their crops on some fur shit. And that's why niggas disappearing so accelerate. Get your diploma, go to college, nigga, then get a job. You can get a big house, bad wife, flat car. Go to church, praise God, nigga, you can live large. The American dream, man, that shit just a facade. You say you going hard, but I know it's a facade. You a pump faker just like Neil Armstrong. Then that boy said he had walked up on the moon and motherfuck Kim Jong, cause I'm the nigga with the bomb.
Flat motherfucking power, y'all. Good night. Tune in to us next time. If you want to learn more about making music and helping us out with making a flat power, flat earth compilation mixtape, just holler at me in the email. Submit me your song. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take about 15 songs. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to pay the money. And I'm going to have all of these songs mastered. And I'm going to put the intro and outro on it personally myself and put the skits in between them. And we're going to make a flat earth mixtape that we're going to give out free of charge. So if you're a flat earth artist and you want to be part of this compilation mixtape, just shoot me an email. The songs that you hearing now will be on that mixtape hopefully, but I just got to contact these artists and make sure that they're going to let their songs be on that mixtape. So stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming up that's exciting for you guys. And we got a lot of music and a lot of more merchandise. I got a lot of more gear coming, a lot of more exciting things coming with this exciting knowledge. So I love all of y'all. And yeah, we just going to end on that note. And many of you been asking me to play that Malcolm shit. So we'll play that on our way home. And again, good night, guys. Much love.
Get 'em up. Let's go.
Keep it a buck, I'm the one you got a problem with. This ain't no black news or no Jabari diss. Real scholarship that'll sink your partnerships. Haters poppin' shit cause I'm on top of shit. First time I partnered it, this time it's obvious. It's me against the mafia on my Illuminati shit. Self-made, never had a sod, never starter kit. Breastplate and sword, killing them on some Harlem shit. This is godliness. I put my heart in this authorship. House of consciousness, old mortgages. Now I'm son and no heads. This is my orphanage. He gave you red and blue pills. Meet Morpheus. We victorious. Show us respect. Got my name in your mouth. Hope you choke on the S. Hope you know I'm the best. Fuck it, I'm killing your doubts. Killing your minions. Trying to make their career off your couch. Old shotters compared to globetrotters. Spinning balls, we proving truth with no problem. Approach cautious, trust me niggas above your limits. Flow scorching, no condom, y'all ain't fucking with it. Trust me niggas above your limits. Flow scorching, no condom, y'all ain't fucking with it. Standing in the window, gun in my hand, no sleep protecting the children. Bitch, I'm on my Malcolm shit. Movement won't move cause you the police. Got the people stagnant cause y'all on some backward shit. Harlem. I told y'all niggas stop playing with me. Now I gotta
I just gotta keep it 100 till I'm gone in the hearse. Put my heart in the beat, put my soul in the verse. On my guard in these streets, I risk it all to make it work. Cause I ain't fall from the sky, homie, I rose from the dirt. Use a little nigga, breathe, I'm a beast in the clutch. I'm a big dog, scratching you little fleas off my nuts. Lot of hating going on, looking ugly in this bitch. See, I was raised around the real, you can't study for this shit. They don't make them like they used to. I'ma stick what I'm true to. Faking, I see through you, make you vanish like voodoo. Swear this world is so cuckoo, hard for me to be neutral. Spit the wrath of a guru till I'm forgotten like Fubu. A stone age nigga, don't take much to make me smile. Some good people, some good trees, light it up and pass it round. Lot of haters want you down, and they praying you on the mount of shit. And tell me why you give a fuck, all of them trolls counterfeit. Can't stop a shooting star, haters hate to see you take off. You know I grind hard, 24/7, I never take off. I spit that naked truth and on add and on take off. And if you cannot take it, then motherfucker just take off. Can't stop a shooting star, haters hate to see you take off. You know I grind hard, 24/7, I never take off. I spit that naked truth and on add and on take off. And if you cannot take it, then motherfucker just take off. Lord knows I got a lot of demons, I can't fight them all. Lord knows I done a lot of wrongs, I can't right them all. Young nigga in a trap, waiting for the night to fall. Slinging half fish scale, other half isotol. Stunting and wildin', chasing hundreds and thousands. God spoke to me, couldn't hear, cause my stomach was growling. Use a motherfucking crying shame, nigga, what you think? You got money for the best drink, but zero in the bank. I can't dig, you don't handle biz, that's just what it is. We gon' live while you do it big, I do it for the kids. But these niggas just don't give a damn. Money to the ceiling fan, fuck with son, you gon' get a tan. Pull up in the minivan. You know we stoners, don't take much to make us smile. Just light it up, high as fuck, now I'm on the cloud. Lot of haters want you down, cause they time is up, we climbing up. Swear I debate anybody, just line them up and sign them up. Can't stop a shooting star, haters hate to see you take off. You know I grind hard, 24/7, I never take off. I spit that naked truth and on add and on take off. And if you cannot take it, then motherfucker just take off. Can't stop a shooting star, haters hate to see you take off. You know I grind hard, 24/7, I never take off. I spit that naked truth and on add and on take off. And if you cannot take it, then motherfucker just take off.